Good evening. We're going to get started. Good evening and welcome. Bienvenidos. Tenemos traductores. Si desea un traductor, puede pasar a la mesa para audífonos para escuchar la presentación en español. Allá está, mire. Translators are available in the back of the room if anyone wants to hear the evening's presentations in Spanish. Tonight is the second of two nights that we have set aside to hear from the community on the superintendent's fiscal year FY 2025 operating budget proposal to the Board of Education. Tonight's hearing will be broadcast live on television and MCPS media. As always, board members are looking forward to both hearing and thoughtfully considering your input as we prepare to review and take action on the superintendent's recommendations. Before I begin, I will ask board members to introduce themselves. Ms. Yang.
Good evening, Julie Yang, District 3. It's good to see everyone.
Good evening, Shebra Evans, District 4.
Good evening, Rebecca Smondrowski, District 2.
Good evening, everyone. Lynn Harris. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm an at-large member of the board.
Good evening, everyone. Brenda Wolf, District 5.
Good evening, buenas noches. Grace Rivera Oven, District 1.
Good evening, Sammy Saeed, student member of the board, and really excited to see so many great community members here today.
And Dr. McKnight is here with us as well. And Dr. McKnight, would you like to introduce your staff?
Yes, thank you, President Silvestri. So good evening, everyone. It's very good to see you. Thank you for coming out this evening. We know it's a bit warm in the room. Change in temperature today. So we are doing everything that we can to try to make it as comfortable. But we do want to thank you for coming out tonight. And I am joined here this evening with a number of staff members. We have Dr. Betty Collins here, Deputy Superintendent, Mr. Brian Hall, COO, and a number of staff over here to my right who will be here to assist and address any questions that may come up from tonight's hearings. So we do look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
The order of speakers is listed on the agenda that's available on the board's website. Board members will have the opportunity to hear from the community via in-person testimony or by audio or video presentations. Written testimony of those who signed up for tonight's hearing has been made available to the public for board members' review on board docs. The board's next operating budget work session will be held at 10 a.m. on Tuesday, January 30th, 2024. We will take tentative action on the proposed operating budget on Thursday, February 22nd, 2024, during the board's regularly scheduled board meeting. Let's begin with our speakers who are here with us in person. When your name is called, please approach the podium and push the flat button below the microphone to turn it on and begin speaking. Please stay within your allotted time limit. Please speak clearly and directly into the microphone. And our first speaker this evening is Alice Josian. Please come forward. Alice. Okay. Our next speaker is Nayati Bansal. Please come forward.
Good evening, members of the board and Dr. McKnight. My name is Nia Bunsel, and I'm a junior at Richard Montgomery. 1 year ago today, I testified about my experience as a newcomer in MCPS. I would like to begin by commending all of the staff in MCPS that have worked to support newcomer and EML students throughout this past year. Thank you for your support. Today I'm here representing the MCPS International Admissions and Enrollment IAE Student Advisory Committee, along with Saya and Kiana, to advocate for the needs of EML and newcomer students. I will start by discussing the need for a school-based EML counselor at every MCPS and MCPS middle and high school. Since my last testimony, I've been working alongside many other passionate students through various organizations to increase support for newcomers. A large accomplishment in the area of work was creating the IAE Student Advisory Committee with a lot of support from Ms. Bojorquez. Through my work with this committee and other organizations, I have further realized that there is never one way to support newcomer and EML students. Each student has their own needs that need to be addressed in a unique way. In order to ensure that this happens, it is essential for every school in MCPS to have its own full-time EML counselor. These counselors are necessary to work with EML students and address their issues on an individual basis. Further, an EML counselor by default helps a large majority of the newcomer population, since many of these new students are EML students. I have seen the direct benefit of a counselor designated specifically for EML students through working with the part-time EML counselor at my school. It is undeniable how beneficial this role is in the school. Further, through talking to Ms. Amador, an assistant principal at Northwood High School, I learned about their amazing Global Gladiators program. This program has the specific goal of welcoming newcomer students and providing them support to navigate a new school. When newcomers arrive, they have an intake with their counselor, but then they are escorted to the Global Gladiators program, where the coordinator and intern work with them to assess how much support they need. After this, the program ensures that they get all of this support before they even start their classes, allowing for a smooth transition into the school. This program is so beneficial to new students, and it would be amazing if it could be available at all schools. However, it is only possible if each school were to have an EML counselor or coordinator full-time. I understand that constraints on the budget may cause this to be a difficult proposal, but I would like to ask you a question. According to the recent Cal report, 18% of MCPS students are EML. So why do 82% of our students, those who can speak English, receive a counselor that can work with them in their needs in their language, while almost 18% are not able to receive this? That means that almost 1 in 5 students in MCPS may not be receiving adequate counseling support. I hope that you will use next year's budget to further support EML students in MCPS. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Saffron Stevens. Please come forward. Right underneath your mic. That's good.
Good evening, members of the board and Dr. McKnight. My name is Saffron Stevens, and I'm a junior at Wheaton High School. Today, I wanted to highlight the attendance issues for the Career Readiness Education Academy, CREA, and its integral role in improving graduation rates for English multilingual learners in MCPS. EML performance and engagement has faced a downward trend in Montgomery County Public Schools over the last decade. In MCPS, 18% of students are EML, 8% higher than the national average per county. However, although MCPS has such a large population of EML students, there is a continuous decrease in academic performance and attendance. With MCPS continuing to admit more EML students, it is essential that these issues be addressed and a county-wide effort is made to bridge the gap between EML students and their school communities. The Center of Applied Linguistics report examined the performance of EML and Latino students in MCPS through 2019 to 2022. The Cal report highlighted several factors that affected EML students' quality of education. First was the fall in performance. EML students on average performed 30 percentage points lower than the average MCPS student. There was also a 6% fall in EML students' year-on-year growth for achieving English language proficiency, a metric determined by the state of Maryland. Another factor that was highlighted was the fall in attendance. For the MCPS population, 13% have 20 or more unexcused absences. This number dramatically increases when looking at EML students' population, with 23 having 20 or more unexcused absences. These factors have led only to about half of EML students graduating high school in 4 years. The disparities highlighted by the Center of Applied Linguistics shows that we as a county need to provide resources to encourage EML students' attendance and involvement with their school communities. The CREA program works to improve graduation rates of EML students by providing education services to prepare for the General Education Development Exam. However, after speaking with CREA staff, it has become apparent that there is an attendance and enrollment issue during their day program. Many students within this county can qualify for the CREA program. However, this opportunity only reaches some students at these schools. Thus, it would be essential to research why these students are not enrolling. With MCPS being one of 3 sanctuary counties in Maryland, we must conduct outreach at our high schools so that every EML student can leave with a high school credential.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Kiana Hakikarimlu. You're on.
Okay. Good evening, members of the board and Dr. McKnight. My name is Kiana Haji Karimlu, and I'm a junior at Northwest High School. Today, I would like to emphasize the significance of having staff from diverse backgrounds who possess the ability to communicate in foreign languages. As a newcomer to MCPS, I encountered many challenges, including lack of support and understanding from school staff and communication barriers due to language differences, and had a hard time understanding the events happening in my environment. To ensure that future newcomers do not face the same hurdles during their transition to MCPS, I requested the recruitment of more teachers proficient in different languages and those from diverse backgrounds. While the MCPS Office of Human Resources and Development indicates that knowledge and fluency in a foreign language are preferred but not mandatory for ELD teachers, I implore you to consider how essential these language skills are for effective communication with students who have just transitioned to the U.S. from foreign countries. During my visits to EMO classes within my school, I have seen many teachers being unable to communicate with their own students. This lack of effective communication not only impacts students' academic performance, but also takes a toll on the well-being of them. Additionally, the lack of ELD teachers from diverse backgrounds is evident in MCPS. According to the Employee and Retiree Service Center staff's statistical profile for the 2022 fiscal year, only 15.2% of teachers were Hispanic, 9% were Asian, and mere 1.5% represented two or more races, while more than half of the staff were white. These statistics underscore the urgent need to recruit more EMO teachers and educators from various fields who bring diverse backgrounds and language proficiency. As per the FY23 staffing formulas, the ratio for EMO students to ELD educators in MCPS range from 1 to 20 to 1 to 88, far exceeding the national average of 1 to 12. The data strongly advocates for the recruitment of EMO teachers and educators from diverse backgrounds who possess the knowledge and ability to communicate in different languages. While it may not be feasible to have teachers representing every language, a concerted effort should be made to recruit individuals fluent in languages such as Chinese, Spanish, French, Tagalog, and etc., and who are well-versed in the corresponding cultures. As a newcomer to MCPS, I personally experienced feelings of exclusion in my classes due to the inability of most of my teachers to effectively communicate with me. I sincerely hope the upcoming budget considerations include provisions for recruiting more teachers from diverse backgrounds. This initiative would significantly ease the transition for EMO students by providing them with the right and appropriate support from individuals who can truly understand and empathize with their unique needs. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Ayman Tesfaye.
Okay. While signing up for a spot here today, I came across a petition from exactly 2 years ago that day. It talked about taking action on the derogatory language used by players and spectators during the soccer game. This outraged many students, rightly so, because this was not the first time this would happen, nor this would be the last time. The people had received little information and were giving false hope when the SGA, known as the Student Government Association, told people that the students would change. The players at Sherwood High School had called the players from Albert Einstein High School, quote, Asian trash. Then when the students informed the coach, he simply said, email me and I'll talk to them tomorrow, brushing off the fact that it was a serious matter. On January 8, 2022, at Sherwood High School, once again, a basketball game was going on, and students of color were being left out. They were called racist slurs in front of everyone, and when it was brought to the coach, the players who were allegedly calling people slurs denied it. She was caught bragging to her friends who had said it, and when the coach was informed, he said, things happen in the heat of the moment. Writer Maddie Trimble wrote, saying a slur is not something that you say in the heat of the moment. Exactly 43,796,000 people out of 50,000 have signed. People like Mary Hughes Greer believe that, quote, bigotry is never okay. For adults to sanction it, especially in a shop setting, is inexcusable. A different way to say it is 44,000 people are waiting for our justice, starting from January 8, 2022. Even a recent example shows that racism won't stop here. Over Thanksgiving break, vandalism took place at Germantown's West High School, and a letter sent home to the parents confirmed that, in fact, it was targeted at some students specifically. Other incidents in 2023 that show that 2024 we need to take action immediately. Bethesda Elementary School had graffiti that stated KKK, more known as the Ku Klux Klan, known for their belief in white supremacy. A high school also had the N-word written on a locker. I believe that we should use this money from the budget to educate students, not about history, but more about how experience can affect you, and using slurs in any situation is not appropriate, and more how to act when someone is racist.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next speaker is Daniel Conte. Please come forward. Press the button underneath the mic there.
Hello, Montgomery County Board of Education. I am Daniel Conte, a Seneca Valley High School student and a Young People for Progress member. Thank you for allowing me to speak here at the Board of Education. I am here today to request funding for a full-time restorative justice coach in every middle and high school in Montgomery County. In many schools across the county, students are being punished unfairly and aren't allowed to reflect on what they have done and learn from their mistakes. A classmate of mine was outright suspended without being questioned due to a group of other students who attacked her, all saying she provoked them and was asking for it. Without this reflection period, the students who harmed her would likely repeat said actions because they don't understand why their actions were harmful. An RJ coach would help them make that realization. Mistakes that students make when they are young result in a more disciplinary action, which will increase their chances of being arrested or funneled into the criminal justice system. This process is called the school-to-prison pipeline. We need restorative justice to stop cases like this from happening and to end the pipeline. Restorative justice is a philosophy and culture shift towards more positive and inclusive school culture. It can also serve as an alternative disciplinary method that enables students to repair harm through better communication and non-punitive consequences, like community service. With the addition of restorative justice in more schools, suspension rates are lowered and the racial disparity in the school-to-prison pipeline, which typically targets Black students, is minimized, and it builds an anti-racist school environment that benefits all students. Here's the main issue. Within the county, there are only 9 restorative justice specialists for over 200 public schools. Although each school has a restorative justice coach, they only work extracurricular hours. This is nowhere near enough to meet the demand for services, as those specialists must travel across the county to schools that need their help. These coaches must also work extra hours to implement restorative justice for their entire school. Even though they already have a full-time job as teachers, adding a full-time restorative justice coach in all middle and high schools increases restorative justice in all learning environments. We ask MCPS to fund a full-time restorative justice coach to help students understand how and why their actions may be harmful and to shift school culture in a positive direction. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next speaker is Angelina Shu. Please come forward. Is there anything we can do about the static? Working on it? Thank you. There you go.
Okay. Good evening, board members and Dr. McKnight. My name is Angelina Shi, and I'm a senior at Richard Montgomery High School.
My name is Michael Wong, and I'm a sophomore at Richard Montgomery High School, and we are both Advocacy Initiative Directors for MCR.
We're both here today to advocate on behalf of MCPS-funded access to driver's education in our high schools. Out of all 50 states and Washington, D.C., Maryland is one out of a grand total of 2 states that require prospective drivers of all ages to complete 30 hours of driving school before qualifying for their license. Yet after driver's education was cut from public schools in the 90s and early 2000s, what was originally a measure to protect road safety has ballooned into a costly system that prevents thousands of students from accessing a simple license. Before getting my license, I remember pulling up various driving school websites and being shocked at prices upwards of $450, with some even reaching $650. Even classes at the community college right across the street from here cost $380. And when students go online to seek financial help, they often find little to no resources. Yet the ability to obtain a driver's license isn't just about fitting in or the stigma that comes along with being left out. Teens who have a license naturally have more opportunities. They're the ones who will have access to a wider variety of jobs and extracurriculars. They're the ones that are more likely to obtain and hold these jobs. And they're the ones who will have an easier time accessing goods and services that will help them when it comes to college and future vocational schools. And this disproportionately hurts lower income households the most. Within my own life, driving has been crucial to helping my parents run errands and bringing my younger cousins to daycare.
Looking beyond graduation from MCPS, having a car can save already scarce time in every area of life. Heading to community college, fulfilling errands, getting to a first, second, or even third job. Even if students don't necessarily have the funds to begin driving in high school, completing the training would lift this $500 weight off them if they choose to begin driving in their 20s or 30s. MCPS must explore methods to include driver's education in high schools to reduce the financial burden and actually improve road safety. With health being extended to 1 year, we can find ways to fit the 30 hours of in-class education into classroom time while still meeting the state requirements, similar to how Fairfax County teaches driver's education in health and PE. Additionally, we can explore partnerships with independent driving schools to offer subsidized after-school lessons so that students can have easy access to them. After a year of virtual school, I think we can all agree that in-person lessons are far more effective than Zoom classes.
Driving is not the easiest thing in the world, I think most of us in this room know, but accessing driving school can come easy if MCPS takes the necessary steps to do so. Thank you all so much for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is via video, Arhat Saxena. Please play the video.
Good afternoon, members of the board and Dr. McKnight. My name is Arhat Saxena, and I am a 10th grader at John F. Kennedy High School. Today, I wanted to discuss gender-neutral bathrooms and why they should be implemented. Ever since schools have returned to being fully in person, I have noticed how much of an issue bathrooms have become. Vaping and bullying problems in bathrooms have soared in recent years, and responses to these issues are very slow because security cameras aren't able to record this behavior on film. Additionally, bathrooms are constantly being trashed, as vandalism has cost schools thousands of dollars in repair to the damage. What makes this worse is that solutions to this issue aren't very effective. Last year, my school decided that to solve the bathroom crisis, they would close every single bathroom in the school except for 2 or 3. This meant I would often have to walk all the way across the school simply to use the bathroom, only to find long lines of people waiting because they also had nowhere else to go. In theory, this was meant to help our security team crack down on the issue, but I have seen little to no change occur. Furthermore, it has done nothing to stop the bullying. The biggest issue of this bullying is how it affects students who have been long overlooked, primarily non-binary and transgender youth. These students are constantly subjected to feelings of dysphoria and unwelcoming environments within this current state of bathrooms. But it's not just queer youth who feel unsafe. Studies have shown that 43% of students fear potential harassment in school bathrooms, and over 10% of students have actually been bullied or in a bathroom or a locker room. That is an extremely alarmingly high number, and one that must be addressed immediately, which is why I propose that MCPS adopt the St. Paul model for restrooms. The St. Paul model is a gender-neutral, individualized layout for bathrooms that was implemented a few years back as an anti-bullying initiative. In fact, after implementing the model, schools in St. Paul saw bullying in bathrooms go down by as much as 90%. The model also includes a safer, hygienic, and more inclusive blueprint for restrooms that make students feel more at ease. The model is a much better alternative as it not only gives students their own stalls for privacy, but makes it more difficult for students to hide from administrators, as it is an open space layout where students are protected from bullying and harassment. This is a crucial investment that MCPS ought to take, as it reduces risk of vandalism, makes it easier to monitor student behavior, makes bathrooms more hygienic, is more inclusive to queer students, and overall reduces bullying, making students feel more protected and safer. The benefits this would bring are numerous and necessary. I've included some helpful links in my written testimony, but I highly encourage all of you to do some research into the benefits of this model, as I was only able to give a brief overview of what it actually is. And I hope you guys give serious thought to implementing it as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is also via video. Jaden Savali, please play the video.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Alexander Allen. I'm a junior at Bethesda Chevy Chase High School and the founder of MCPS Sleep Reform. I'm here today to discuss school start times and their impact on student attendance and success. According to the CDC, teens 13 to 18 need 8 to 10 hours of sleep per night. However, 80% of students at my school report they sleep 7 hours or less each night. We know getting sleep is essential, especially for growing teenagers. Students who get under the recommended 8 to 10 hours of sleep have trouble focusing and learning, have increased anxiety, and perform worse academically. Sleep deficiencies also lead to chronic health conditions like strokes, heart disease, obesity, and depression, and create more safety-related incidents like car crashes. Drowsy drivers cause over 6,400 deaths each year and account for over a fifth of all fatal crashes in Maryland. We also know middle and high school students, as they go through puberty, have a delayed circadian rhythm, causing them to feel tired 2 hours later than their elementary school counterparts. With all this research, school systems nationwide, especially those around Montgomery County, like Anne Arundel, Howard County, Fairfax County, Loudoun County, and DC public schools, are moving their start times later, with high school running from 8:30 to 3:18 and middle school from 9:15 to 3:55, and schools are seeing an impact. Students have increased attendance and academic performance and have fewer disciplinary incidents and car accidents. But you know this. In 2015, MCPS put together a Bell Times work group, which proposed starting high school at 8:15, middle school at 7:45, and elementary school at 8:50 or 9:15. Nevertheless, students still wake up before dawn to catch their bus and skip their first and second periods to sleep in, just like in 2015. However, this issue isn't clear-cut. There are concerns regarding delaying school buses, after-school extracurriculars, and parents relying on older children for afternoon childcare. Therefore, I ask the board to allocate funds for another Bell Times work group and follow our neighboring districts. While I understand this may not be the highest priority for the board, this research is necessary to keep our students healthy and in school so they have a world-class education. Thank you for your consideration, and I look forward to working with you on this initiative.
Thank you. Do we have Jaden's testimony? Nope. Okay. All right. Thank you to our students who came to testify today. We are now moving on to organizations. Could I have Walter Shaw, Nikita Bat, and Megan Stollard please come forward? Just press the button underneath the mic there. You're on.
Good evening, Dr. McKnight and members of the MCPS Board of Education. My name is Walter Shaw and I go to Richard Montgomery High School.
My name is Nikita Botts and I go to Montgomery Blair High School.
And my name is Megan Stallard and I go to Poolsville High School.
And we are all council members within the inaugural MCPS Student Climate Action Council, or SCAC for short. The SCAC is an MCPS-sanctioned council of 14 students that support student sustainability projects and hold MCPS accountable for their climate goals. Our vision statement is as follows: to create an entirely green school system, increase the number of innovative sustainability projects, and allow the creative students of MCPS to be given a voice to enact their ideas for a better and safer environment. The SCAC stands out as a trailblazer on a national scale, a group of students committed to exclusively driving urgent and essential environmental transformations at the district level. MCPS prides itself in leading sustainability innovation, and by facilitating the establishment of the SCAC, we empower the younger generation, some of the most passionate climate advocates, by providing them with a direct avenue for collaboration within our school system. Our efforts include various initiatives, including our Climate Ambassador Program, engaging students of all ages countywide in the pursuit of climate goals. With the dedicated cohort of over 200 students, we actively drive environmental projects and implement impactful changes within MCPS schools. Our council also conducts extensive policy research and is currently crafting an official recommendation on the use of artificial turfs in MCPS. In addition, we operate a grant program, and we have allocated around $20,000 in funds to support student-led sustainability projects. Tonight, we will request that MCPS not only support, but prioritize this work, which is our part in the student movement for sustainability.
In our inaugural year, our council is diligently shaping the future, ensuring that students have the opportunity to contribute to environmental change in meaningful ways for years to come. As we mentioned, after meticulous planning spanning several months, the SCAC launched applications for our inaugural round of grants. Rigorous efforts were undertaken to thoroughly vet each application, ensuring the most effective use of MCPS funds. Following a comprehensive review, including interviews and council deliberations, we are delighted to announce the approval of over 10 unique and innovative grant projects, receiving over $20,000 total in funding. The diversity of these projects is evident in their scope. These projects encompass initiatives such as composting, community gardens, and climate education. Geographical diversity is also a key feature, with grants from Poolesville to Blair directly impacting every level, elementary, middle, and high schools. Currently, we are in the process of distributing funds to the selected applicants while simultaneously developing our second round of grant applications. Looking ahead to the future years, we aspire to receive even more projects which will empower students to take impactful actions in their community for a more sustainable planet as the climate crisis approaches. Consider this an investment in students, sustainability, and the future. Your support plays a crucial role in making these endeavors possible.
In our current fiscal year, we were allotted $75,000 from the 2024 operating budget. Without delay, the SCAC strategically used this funding to initiate our grants program, establish the Climate Ambassador Program, and start comprehensive policy research. These funds have proven foundational in facilitating our work, ensuring the availability of resources to finance impactful student sustainability projects. We earnestly appeal to the Board of Education to consider ongoing financial support for the SCAC within future operating budgets. The continued allocation of funds is pivotal as it empowers students to actively advocate for environmental change, contributing significantly to the county's sustainability goals. Sustained funding in successive operating budgets is crucial to the continuity and success of our work, allowing us to continue to work towards our mission year after year. Furthermore, the SCAC requests that MCPS set aside a portion of the operating budget to create a climate action plan work group. We ask that MCPS work with us, the SCAC, to create this work group, which will serve as a pivotal platform for environmentally passionate students, parents, and stakeholders to express their ideas. The group will help hold MCPS accountable to the promises and goals highlighted in our climate action plan. The SCAC looks forward to working with MCPS as we renew our shared commitment to addressing the climate crisis. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Nell Rumbaugh. Please come forward.
Good evening. They have it.
You're good.
So I think, good evening, Dr. Superintendent McKnight, distinguished board members. Becky, thank you very much. Tech staff, namely Dan and Lucas, thank you very much. I did have a recording, but I don't see it queuing up. So I will just wing it. I'm honored to, is it coming? Do it.
I think to myself, oh, what a wonderful world. what a wonderful world.
I tried something different with the submission of the dance that was performed last night at Loiterman. And the 425-seat auditorium was at capacity both nights. I want to thank you for all you do, day in and day out. And I thought that video just kind of surmised it. We need an MST at Loiterman. What a wonderful world it would be for Loiterman to have an MST.
What is an MST? Media Service Technician.
Thank you. Good question. Thank you. Thank you. Our next speaker is Catherine Stalker. Please come forward. Kathy Stalker. Our next speaker, Wailea Chase. Please come forward.
Good evening, Dr. McKnight, President Silvestri, right there, Vice President Harris, and Board of Education members. Thank you for having us all here this evening, and thank you for all the work that you do. My name is Wailea Chase, and I'm here on behalf of the Black and Brown Coalition for Educational Equity and Excellence, as well as the students and families that we advocate for and with. As you have noted, board members and Dr. McKnight, there are difficult choices about reductions to be made, but they must be guided by equity. Just as last year, the Black and Brown Coalition advocated that with a limited number of math coaches, staff should be equitably allocated to schools with the greatest number of students who were below grade level. Now, as we face reductions, we must similarly recognize that not all schools can absorb reductions equally. As cuts are made, coaches, instructional specialists' time, and director-level expertise must be differentiated and prioritized to schools serving students with greatest need. Particularly now, as ESSER funds are ending, we strongly urge you to examine what investments are being carried into the base budget and make sure that those funds prioritize academic excellence and are being targeted to the students who are well below grade level. BOE members, please, you must ask questions to ensure reductions do not simply hit across the board. Using an equity lens to address the loss of ESSER funding and any needed cuts requires careful scrutiny to ensure that funds for academic interventions such as tutoring and any and all reading supports are protected. MCPS has to use the resources we already have to build capacity so that proven, successful, game-changing practices that do not cost more money become accessible and available to all students, starting with the students who need it most. We also note that even the proposed accelerators in this budget do not address literacy head-on. There is a suggestion of $500,000 for additional DIBELS assessment, but no other resources to address the literacy crisis. What we think needs to be accelerated is taking interventions that we know work within MCPS and getting them to scale. The Board of Education recently heard about a promising classroom practice in Algebra 2 for engaging all learners, inspired by the Building Thinking classrooms. There are other stories just like that one about teachers in schools succeeding against the odds to address literacy gaps and catch students up to grade level as well. Finally, to get the full value of our academic investments requires a renewed commitment to cultural sensitivity. Using summer school as an example, data has been shared with the Board of Education about times when Black, Brown, and low-income parents would not accept invitations to summer school, even when their students were behind and needed the extra learning time to catch up. To understand this dilemma requires a greater culturally sensitive examination of barriers. Just like with confusing literacy reports, many parents and caregivers do not fully understand the urgency of summer school because they do not understand how far behind their children really are and how that will hold them back from future opportunities. MCPS, we ask that you do a better job of communicating to these parents and caregivers why summer school is so crucial They need to be talked to early and often, and we have to recognize that all other barriers, particularly transportation, have to be eliminated. Using limited summer school resources to get students reading on grade level is not just in the interest of individual students, it is in the interest of the system and the larger community. The Black and brown students who are lagging behind are the county's future workers. MCPS can't do everything, but you must do what will make the most difference in getting students to read on grade level from grade 3 and higher. There is a proven investment with tremendous return on investment. For all of these reasons, the Black and Brown Coalition urges you to invest in getting reading right now and eliminating all barriers to ensuring that the students who need it most are given access to and take full advantage of the available resources. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Allison Flepson. Please come forward.
Good evening, buenas noches. My name is Allison Flepson. I am the Vice Chair of the MCC PTA Curriculum Committee, as well as the parent of 2 students at Oakland Terrace Elementary, a 2A Spanish-English immersion school. I am testifying tonight on behalf of the MCC PTA leaders who have signed this testimony to urge MCPS and the board to incorporate into the FY25 operating budget specific measures to improve the TWI program, many of which have been raised by parents over the past several years. Our requests align with MCPS's goal to, quote, enhance TWI instruction support and resources, which was recently shared with the board on January 11th. Before I begin, please note that I will be delivering a shorter version of our remarks tonight, so please take a few minutes to review details of the full testimony. The first issue we would like to raise with you relates to our wonderful TWI staff. The TWI program demands much of our teachers, who are responsible for instructing, grading, and supporting 2 classrooms of students, between 36 and 52 children depending on the grade. Moreover, on a yearly basis, TWI teachers have had to adapt to many changes to the program. While our teachers, school leadership, and support staff do everything they can to rise to the occasion, we have growing concerns regarding the cumulative effects of this on our teachers in terms of job satisfaction and retention. We ask that MCPS and the board increase support for TWI teachers in schools in the following ways. First, address ongoing gaps in program implementation and resourcing, which I'll describe momentarily. 2, provide financial compensation and other incentives that allow MCPS to recruit and retain the best TWI teachers. 3, increase staff at TWI schools to allow teachers to provide the highest quality of instruction and to meet students' diverse skills and language needs. Additional staff might include adding a 3rd administrator, a Spanish reading specialist, and paraeducators, depending on a school's particular needs. Our concerns regarding ongoing gaps to program implementation and resourcing are as follows. First, MCPS needs to develop a strategic plan or framework for the program. The existing TWI vision statement lacks comprehensive information parents and other stakeholders need regarding all aspects of the program. We ask that the board require MCPS to develop a strategic plan, similar to one developed by Arlington Public Schools, in collaboration with parents that explains the program in detail. Second, MCPS needs to clearly communicate and publish TWI curriculum standards and materials for all languages and subjects. While we appreciate that MCPS has developed a new biliteracy framework this year, it has not been shared with the public. For example, parents continue to remain in the dark regarding what Spanish language speaking, reading, and writing skills students are expected to gain in each grade. Third, the TWI program needs to identify an appropriate suite of standardized assessments to measure students' learning and program achievement. More than 7 years after it was first launched, the program still does not have a clear plan for evaluating and sharing student achievement in both languages. While we recognize the unique needs of dual language learner assessment and restrictions on the time spent on standardized testing, the status quo is simply unacceptable. It results in students, parents, MCPS, the board, and MSDE not having a full picture of how well TWI students in schools are doing. Fourth, the board needs to ensure that the program is providing equitable access to the same curriculum and opportunities afforded to non-TWI students. This year, TWI schools were the only schools in MCPS that were not allowed to implement really great reading, the new enriched literacy curriculum, and the new social studies curriculum for grades 4 and 5. This means thousands of TWI students, including many EMLs, may not be benefiting from a coherent approach to improve literacy instruction rooted in the science of reading. Fifth, we are concerned that the new eligibility criteria for student participation in the program don't comply with MCPS's enrollment policy. Moreover, some students who do not wish to participate in the program, which is not lottery-based, must attend a school outside their neighborhood. We strongly believe that MCPS needs to identify solutions that allow all students to attend their neighborhood school and that also align with best practices related to the composition of the student body in dual language programs. Last but not least, the board needs to require MCPS to significantly increase its engagement with the TWI school community. This includes creating and authentically engaging with a stakeholder advisory group. Additional ideas can be found in the full testimony. As we have advocated for in the past, TWI schools and the MCPS Central Office need to have the requisite human and other resources to implement this program with fidelity, equity, and efficacy. We therefore urge MCPS and the board to include in the FY25 budget funds to provide sufficient staff, support our teachers, provide and share quality Spanish curriculum materials, utilize and communicate bilingual standardized assessments, and conduct and publicize rigorous ongoing evaluation of the program. Thank you and gracias for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Stacy Gray. Please come forward.
Good evening, members of the Board of Education and Dr. McKnight. My name is Stacy Gray, and I'm the Executive Director for the Montgomery County Association of Administrators and Principals, also known as MCAP. As a staunch advocate, I have the benefit of serving about 850 MCAP members who diligently serve MCPS in various leadership, administrator, and supervisory roles in our schools and offices. I appreciate the opportunity this evening to share two topics with you regarding the fiscal year 25 budget. One, additional directors in the Office of School Support and Wellbeing, also known as OSSWB, and special education supervisors. First, as stated in the superintendent's recommended budget in brief, for fiscal year 2025, we support the budget accelerator for 3 additional directors in OSSWB. During last week's budget hearing testimony, Dr. Christine Handy, president of MCAP, provided data to support why this budget item is so critical. I would like to reiterate her sentiment and implore you to maintain MCPS's strong supervisory organizational structure to support schools with the increase of 3 directors. Being that MCPS is a hallmark school system, we also implore you to maintain this budget accelerator, thus enabling lower caseloads for our directors and ensuring excellent supervisory support to schools. Second, as for special education supervisors, MCAP would like to see a comparable staffing increase for this leadership unit. According to the recent board testimonies from MCPS, overall enrollment for all students is down from September 30th, 2022, with 156,256 students to 155,788 students as of September 30, 2023. However, enrollment for students with special education services continue to increase, with 19,382 in fiscal year 2022, 20,456 in fiscal year 2023, and 22,236 in fiscal year 2024. Thus, in the past 3 years, MCPS has 2,854 more students who require special education services. We appreciate the increase of the teaching staff to meet this growing need. However, we have not increased the supervisory staff that support schools. MCAP contends that this increase in students who receive special education services stretches the current supervisors thin when supporting school staff base in 211 schools. Currently, the Office of Special Education only has 6 area supervisors that support all 211 MCPS schools. That is an average of 35 schools each. While we appreciate the proposed increase of directors in OSSWB, MCAP would also like comparable considerations to an increase in special education supervisory staff to decrease their caseloads as well. In fact, in Prince George's County schools, they have 20 special education supervisors to serve 206 schools, and they have a smaller number of students receiving special education services. MCPS needs to staff the Office of Special Education properly. I'll leave you with 2 questions. 1, With the increase in special education enrollment, how does this impact budget formulas? And two, how does this increase of enrollment impact the same services budget versus budgetary needs based on growth? Our bottom line interest is ensuring that our leaders can support our schools to provide students with a high-quality education. When they have heavy caseloads, the quality of service is impacted. We ask that you take this in consideration as you approve a budget that focuses on all student needs. Thank you for your time and attention to these requests.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next speaker is Pia Morrison. Please come forward.
Good evening, Board of Education and Dr. McKnight. My name is Pia Morrison. I'm president of SEIU Local 500. I wanted to bring your attention to several important updates regarding recent developments that impact over 10,000 of our members who serve as support staff professionals at MCPS, and the work we do in providing a top-tier public education to the children of this county. We are pleased to inform you that Dr. McKnight has proposed a budget that aligns with our collective bargaining agreement for a 3% raise for support staff in the fiscal year 2025. This is a positive step forward in recognizing the hard work and dedication of our members. We hope that MCPS remains a workplace where positive work ethics and skills are recognized and rewarded. Regrettably, our optimism is tempered by deep concerns regarding potential cuts in the Career Pathways program. The Career Pathways program has been lauded as a national model by academics for other school systems to emulate. One of the reasons for its success has been its development in close collaboration between MCPS and the support staff represented by SEIU Local 500. This program guides our members towards identifying and realizing their career aspirations. By providing essential training direction, this program empowers individuals to confidently navigate their professional journeys. Career Pathways fosters a diverse and talented workforce that emphasizes equal access to career development resources. We've seen support staff professionals become teachers, administrators, and IT professionals because of this important program. And with one budget, all of this work goes for naught. One member of SEIU Local 500 had this to say: "My experience with the Career Pathways program restored my faith in MCPS as an employer that genuinely values its employees and demonstrated a sincere commitment to fostering a professional growth within the organization. However, the disheartening news of the program's removal from the FY25 budget has led me to reconsider my future with MCPS." The significance of the Career Pathways program at MCPS cannot be overstated. The weight of its impact demands a dedicated team committed to its success. The nature of the Career Pathway program's work requires a dedicated team that wakes up every day with singular dedication to the program's goals. This is not a case where work is to be distributed to already overwhelmed OHRD support staff. To cut this program and the staff who oversee it sends a clear message that workers' futures are not a priority of this school system. I do not believe that that represents the best of who MCPS is or aspires to be. I wish that was the only challenge facing our members. Unfortunately, we learned of deep cuts to training for paraeducators. As MCPS continues to struggle with paraeducator vacancies, orientation and training is the only way to keep up with effectively preparing new staff to meet students' needs in the classroom. The proposed budget cuts remove any possibility of hosting the additional orientations and training needed. Again, I implore you to revisit the priorities of the school system. Now is not the time to divest from staff. During the recent contract negotiations, we discussed at length the importance that MCPS sees in attracting and retaining quality employees. Yet these budget reductions do not reflect that commitment. Investing in staff growth directly correlates to improved student achievement. And today, I ask the Board of Education and Dr. McKnight to restore the needed funding for Career Pathways and paraeducator training. Our students and staff deserve nothing less. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next speaker is Sandra Landis. Please come forward.
Do I have to push
It's on.
anything? It's on. Okay. Good evening, members of the board and Dr. McKnight. Thank you so much for the privilege of appearing before you tonight. My name is Sandra Landis. I'm the chapter leader of Start School Later, a part of a national organization dedicated to ensuring school start times compatible with health, safety, education, and equity. In the interest of full disclosure, I want to share that I've also assumed the role of Bell Time Subcommittee Chair of the MCC PTA Health and Wellness Committee. Tonight, I'm officially speaking for Start School Later, but both roles work synergistically to underscore the single mission focus of safe and healthy bell times for our secondary school students. Toward this end, I want to thank you for several recent activities that you undertook. I applaud the work of MCPS to simplify the budget and make it much more user-friendly for the public to look at. Second, I want to thank you for the marathon chapter-by-chapter budget dives, which you've done, which have been really very helpful. I suspect you're also aware that MCPS staff supported MCC PTA by holding a very collaborative budget session. That was extremely useful, and it really fostered a big give and take from everybody. However, probably most impactful to achieving our goal of safe and healthy bell times, I have to thank you for taking action on the request that I've made for the past 3 years, and MCC PTA Health and Wellness Committee has made, and the MCC PTA in their advocacy priorities, to undertake a transportation study. While the goal of our request for the transportation study is to assess the feasibility of implementing later bell times for secondary school students, the contractual actions you've taken are necessary predecessor tasks to accomplish that. My only concern is that you might not have realized you actually did that and connected the dots between the transportation study you undertook and the implications for achieving this really important goal for the health and welfare of your secondary school students. So why is this important? Nearly every medical group in the country recommends that school start times for secondary school students begin no earlier than 8:30 a.m. Back in 2012, Start School Later presented a petition with 10,000 signatures on it to MCPS, requesting that you enact a resolution to commit to implementing safe and healthy bell times. I normally don't talk much about it because that happened way back then, and we got 15 minutes in 2015, but we're still not at our goal. And now I checked the list, and we have nearly 14,000 signatures. People are still signing it as recently as yesterday, and it's on just our little website. People want this, and we need it. We've heard the superintendent say the problems in the community find their way into the schools. But today, we're finding that student absenteeism, aggression, and other problems associated with insufficient sleep caused by school start times that are too early are spilling over into the community, with juvenile crime in Montgomery County having increased by 95% since 2019. Studies show, I have a lot more science in my testimony that you could read, but the nutshell is teenagers need 8 to 10 hours of sleep, yet their onset does not begin until 11 p.m. This is just biology and their metabolic changes. Their higher level brain functions of reasoning, problem solving, and good judgment develop toward the end of their sleep cycle. So we are forced to wake them during their most critical times for brain development in order to get to school. Adolescents who suffer insufficient or poor quality sleep are more likely to report symptoms of depression, hopelessness, suicidal thoughts, and attempts, irritability, and impaired emotional regulation. If that isn't concerning enough, sleep deprivation is linked to the 2 leading causes of death in adolescents. Several studies demonstrate improvements in all of these areas if bell times are changed. So I'm going to cut through to the ask in the interest of time. But I do want to say we shouldn't forget academic achievement, and a lot of the budget focuses on Black, Brown, and special ed students, and I've got studies in here that show that the later bell times disproportionately help those groups function better in school. So almost every dollar that you spend elsewhere is spent further. The asks, first, I'd really like to have you officially endorse the need for secondary school times. $0. I know it's a tight budget. You've got the study going on anyway. But let's have a policy statement and a commitment that we're going to look toward this as a goal. Second, be transparent with the contract and look to mod it or fund it to make sure it will cover these other needs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Dr. Jeffrey Johnson. Please come forward.
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. McKnight. My name is Dr. Jeffrey Johnson, and I am the chair of the Montgomery County Community Action Board. The Community Action Board advocates for lower-income county residents and serves as the governing body for the Community Action Agency. Our board, along with the Head Start Parent Policy Council, also provides governance to the county's Head Start program. We are very proud of our long-standing partnership with the Montgomery County Public Schools, the delegate for Head Start. We would like to start by thanking the board for your ongoing commitment to early care and education here in the county. The county's 648 Head Start spots and the 2,535 pre-K spots provide high-quality educational opportunities for children in lower-income households. Currently, though, 7 Head Start classes are part-day, and over half of the county pre-K spots are in part-day classes. Part-day classes pose a significant challenge for families because parents and caregivers are often unable to obtain adequate employment when they need to ensure child care during regular work hours. This is especially important to note here in Montgomery County, where the cost of living is so high, including the cost of child care. The recent Montgomery County Self-Sufficiency Standard Report notes that a family of 4 with 2 adults, 1 school-aged child, and 1 preschooler needs an annual household income of $122,943 to cover their basic necessities, with about a quarter of the family's income going towards child care. Full-day free preschool programs can therefore have a tremendous positive impact in helping families move towards the self-sufficiency standard. In addition to the financial component, our board advocates for a full-day Head Start pre-K program so that they can provide even more enrichment for children. Full-day classes can better prepare children for kindergarten and beyond. We ask the board to provide funding to expand more Head Start and pre-K classes to full-day programs. Next, we want to express our continued concerns regarding the implementation of the Blueprint for Maryland's Future. The Community Action Board continues to be a strong supporter of expanding high-quality early care and education to more children, as is required by the Blueprint. However, we remain concerned about the inevitable strain adding several hundred pre-K spots would place on the school system. This is why a mixed delivery system that includes private child care providers is absolutely critical. For private child care providers to be included in the expansion, though, we must address the challenges providers face in meeting the numerous requirements to become certified teachers. Providers need an alternative pathway to certification. Our board supported the Maryland Educator Shortage Act last year and was thrilled to see its passage. But we recognize that the amended bill did little to ensure a clearer pathway to certification. We continue to ask for your support of revisions to the Blueprint law that would allow additional certification options, expanded access to degree programs, and alternative options for practicum requirements that would allow providers to meet the certification requirement in their current employment. Next, our board would like to thank MCPS for their support during the Head Start federal monitoring visit this fall. This extensive process entails a careful review of program records and documentation, along with numerous meetings with staff. While we ultimately received all the requests requested information from MCPS, we encountered delays throughout the process, despite the fact that our agency is a grantee for Head Start and has a data sharing MOU with MCPS. Moving forward, we want to ensure that the MOU will be honored and that our agency can receive the information and data in a timely manner. On a broader level, the issue of efficiency remains an important concern for the Head Start program. In particular, there needs to be a more efficient process for addressing health and safety concerns as they arise before our program falls out of compliance with the federal requirements. On behalf of the Community Action Board, thank you for your consideration and for your ongoing collaboration and support.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Jennifer Martin. Please come forward.
Wow, I wish my students had done that when I entered class. Good evening. This year's budget really was a step forward to make up for more than a decade of underspending in our schools. Only now are we returning to levels of per pupil funding that in inflation-adjusted dollars meet where we were in spending in 2009. The resulting wage increases made movement toward closing the wage gap that educators experience versus other similar professions. We're grateful for those decisions to address recruitment and retention, but we're still far from where we need to be. The abrupt freeze on the current year's budget is creating additional anxiety among educators and community when we're already struggling to retain and hire adequate staff. We call on you to make a formal request to the County Council for a special appropriation to address the budget shortfall. The Council had previously said they would be open to such a request. As you deliberate on the fiscal year 25 budget, we ask you, will the mass exodus of educators continue, or will MCPS once again be a destination employer for highly qualified and committed individuals seeking a teaching career? We educators continue to experience crushing workloads due to ever-increasing demands and a failure to attract and retain staff. We still struggle to be respected and valued as professionals in making decisions in our daily work. We lack confidence that we're safe from harassment and bullying. And our students' needs are growing each year. We're grateful that the current budget proposal fully honors negotiated wage agreements for fiscal year 25. However, we ask that you remove the proposed budget cuts that will hurt our students. We urge you to reverse the cuts to our speech, language, and support services. Our students deserve to have dedicated MCPS professionals rather than temporary workers who receive supervision from a private company, often provide services only virtually, and are allowed to abandon their contract anytime during the school year. Please restore the money dedicated to substitute salaries. We rely too often on unpaid staff coverage when substitutes are not available. MCPS should be figuring out how to put more money towards substitutes' wages, not cutting those funds. Any lapse in turnover savings should be earmarked to pay educators who must cover for vacancies in unfilled substitute positions. Our biggest request is one we believe parents and county leaders will support. Please add $21.3 million to the budget to fund an additional special, I like to call them essentials, at all elementary schools and the 5 special schools. Our younger students deserve more time for classes that address the state requirements, more time with subjects and skills that can lead to college and career readiness, and more time for learning that fosters their creativity and well-being. These enhancements to the elementary program will support their natural curiosity, their social and emotional development, and their academic success. While some families can spend private dollars for such opportunities, most of our children lack access to these important experiences. The county's strong financial position gives us the opportunity to invest in our schools. This is not a time to practice fiscal austerity. Although the extra federal funding provided to MCPS has expired, new blueprint money is coming from the state. Moreover, the county's general fund reserves are expected to be far above the target level, and we expect county revenues to be $225 million above earlier projections. We call on you to send forth a budget that reflects the true needs of our students and relieves staff of the overwhelming burdens that are driving so many of us away from the education profession. Demand adequate funding from the county so that we can ensure stable, safe, and productive teaching and learning environments in all our schools in 2025. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Elizabeth Shakespeare. Please come forward.
That was a tough act to follow, so I will try. Thank you so much for having me, esteemed board members, community members, parents, staff, and students. My name is Elizabeth Shakespeare, and I'm here on behalf of the Dufeef Elementary School PTA. Independent of, but in support of our earlier testimony from Arhat Saxena, hopefully I'm pronouncing his name correctly, I am also here to advocate for single-user restrooms in our schools. I bring forth this testimony to underscore the importance of these designated single-user restrooms for the following reasons. Number one, accessibility. Single-user restrooms are inherently more accessible, offering increased space for maneuverability, benefiting individuals with diverse motor abilities and those requiring assistance. They also allow for flexibility in design, which allows for efficient use of space and resources. This enhances the overall functionality of restroom facilities. Number two, legal and compliance. Single-user restrooms align with Title IX, anti-discrimination laws, and FERPA, this safeguarding students' privacy related to ability and identity. Compliance with evolving societal norms and regulations, including Maryland Law Bill 422, and underscores the school's commitment to equality and non-discrimination. Excuse me. Guidance from the Department of Education also emphasizes the need for privacy and safe alternatives for students uncomfortable with shared facilities, ensuring, again, compliance with Title IX. Number three, inclusivity. Current Department of Education guidance also states that students be sent to health suites as an alternative for traditional restrooms. This may contribute to stigmatization and feelings of exclusion. Single-user restrooms provide enhanced privacy, accommodating diverse abilities, gender identities, and cultural considerations. This fosters inclusivity, feelings of safety, and equality. Single-user restrooms contribute to a culture that respects diversity and promotes a more accepting and educated student body. Number four, standard setting. We want to be the best. Single-user restrooms represent best practices for schools by prioritizing privacy, equality, and dignity for our students, aligning with the highest standards in educational facilities. They contribute to a safe and supportive environment, fostering a positive learning atmosphere for our most at-risk students. Best practices in school design recognize the importance of promoting this inclusivity, diversity, and respect for students' rights and identities, making single-user restrooms an integral part of this commitment. In 2023, Montgomery County Public Schools completed major construction projects, yet Dufeef Elementary School remains without a designated single-user restroom. Implementing these single-user restrooms is not merely a facility upgrade, it's an educational opportunity. It teaches students about diversity, inclusion, and respect for others' rights and identities. I implore you to implement this single-user restroom at schools across MCPS, with particular highlight to the Wooten Cluster schools and Dufeef Elementary schools. Thank you so much for hearing my testimony, and I hope you all have a good evening.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Michael DeLong. Please come forward.
Hello, good evening, members of the board. My name's Michael DeLong. I'm the president of the Montgomery County Young Democrats. We're a group of young Democrats ages 14 to 35. We work to elect folks to office, make Montgomery County and Maryland better places to live, and get young people involved in politics and advocacy. We Montgomery County Young Democrats, we strongly support full staffing of restorative justice coaches in every middle and high school in Montgomery County, and we urge you to provide the funding to make that a reality. Quick background, restorative justice, you're familiar with it. It's a set of practices that allow people to resolve conflicts and to repair harm through better communication. It works to create an open, positive, and inclusive culture that's designed to be accountable, to resolve conflicts before they escalate. It can be used as an alternative disciplinary method to traditional punitive discipline. And if students understand why their actions have caused harm, they're a lot less likely to do them again. We thank the board for your support of restorative justice so far, and thank the superintendent for including funding to maintain the current status of restorative justice in the draft budget. But unfortunately, right now in Montgomery County Public Schools, black students, they're over twice as likely to face disciplinary action compared to other students. They're more likely to end up in juvenile justice or even adult justice. And there was a recent, I think, an Office of Legislative Oversight report that found that racial disparities have sadly mostly remained the same between 2014, 2015, and 2019 to 2020. They found that black students were removed from school at about 2 times the rate of their peers, and they were more than twice as likely to be involved with the Department of Juvenile Services or arrested. So only 3% of the schools in the county have currently fully implemented restorative justice. The others have not. There are only, I believe, a few restorative justice specialists in the public schools central office. The supply of restorative justice staff is not enough to fulfill the demand for these programs. But in the schools that do have restorative justice, there's a lower suspension rate, especially for black student suspensions. There's a lower recidivism rate, which is very, very important. It means that the stuff doesn't get repeated. And as of October 2023, there was a 41% decrease of black suspensions in Montgomery County Public Schools, the focused restorative justice schools. And when implemented well, restorative justice, it helps build a positive anti-racist school culture. It helps identify potential biases and works to dismantle them. But this implementation needs to be thorough and consistent. And as young Democrats who both remember our time in public schools and some of us are still there, we think reform and education are much better ways to hold people accountable and ensure they don't repeat their actions. Folks deserve second chances and opportunities to make up for what they've done. And when our schools and criminal justice systems are harshly punitive, the result is too often that students' lives are greatly harmed, and they and their families can often be sent on a downward spiral. And the recidivism rates when they commit similar actions are very high, which defeats the whole purpose of criminal justice, trying to make sure that they don't do it again. So restorative justice, in conclusion, it's a far better way. It will help fix our schools and better the lives of a lot of students. Young people, they'll be able to get help and reform their lives if they need to. They'll be taught why their actions are wrong and why they should avoid doing that in the future. And they'll be helped onto the correct path if they need to. So instead of young people being treated as objects or problems, restorative justice will treat them as individuals. So in that spirit, the Montgomery County Democrats, we urge you, the board, to ask for additional funding for restorative justice, to hire full-time restorative justice coaches in every middle and high school. Please contact me and with any questions, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Kathy Stocker. Kathy Stocker, please come forward.
Thank you. I apologize for my delay. I cut it too close coming from the rescheduled Community of Practice Safety and Security meeting today, all those snow days. Dear Board President Silvestre, Board of Education members, and Superintendent McKnight, thank you for the opportunity to submit testimony regarding the MCPS FY 2025 operating budget. I'm the MCC PTA Vice President of Education and have the privilege of working with our Curriculum, Gifted and Talented ESOL, Special Education, and Technology Committees. When I was driving into the literacy event at Gaithersburg High School on November 9th, an event so beautifully organized and sponsored by our friends at the Black and Brown Coalition, I wondered for a moment if there was also a football game that evening. There was so much traffic leading into school that there was an overflow parking for the overflow parking. Of course, as we all know, there was no football game. All of those cars were filled with MCPS family members who were coming to an event on a weeknight after a long day of work and responsibilities because they are engaged, they are willing to work hard to support their children's education, and they are really concerned. Though we are vaccinated and recovered and have reoccupied our school buildings, I think we all acknowledge that we are all still healing. We have re-inhabited our schools, but our teachers, staff, and students are still rehabilitating. We all know we are facing big challenges. Let's not shy away from acknowledging the lost ground and the low test scores and the interruptions to the social, emotional, and behavioral development of our students. These big challenges demand a bold and audacious response, one that includes a reinvigorated partnership between home and the classroom and a fully funded operating budget. Budgets are tight, which means we must be even more diligent and strategic about which investments propel our recovery, and most importantly, propel every student's recovery, leaving no student or group of students behind. Strong and sustained investment in excellent instructional materials and the associated and necessary training and professional development and support required to employ those materials in the classroom is one of the most critical investments we can make to ensure an equitable recovery for all. Why is curriculum and investment in careful and discerning vetting and acquiring and measuring outcomes for curriculum so important in this particular time when we have so many challenges? First, a robust, research-based, and consistently evaluated curriculum mitigates current equity gaps in our school system and raises standards and outcomes for all students. Second, a strong curriculum and well-understood instructional materials can strengthen the relationship between home and the classroom. We are not advocating for cookie-cutter pedagogy that allows for no teacher autonomy, creativity, and innovation. We must, though, address the discrepancies in instruction across our system. If some classes are reading full novels and other classrooms are listening to an audio version of a short story, those classrooms are not receiving the same education and preparation. Those students will not recover lost ground at the same rate. A well-vetted curriculum that sets a high standard and is robust enough to stretch and adapt to the needs of all of our special populations is expensive. I grant you that. A well-vetted curriculum that includes books or novels in the humanities or workbooks in math or kits in science may be more expensive but provides more consistency and equity in instruction across schools and classrooms and has the added benefit of conforming to our adopted digital balance resolution. On my second point, I want to return to that parking lot where I had a hard time finding a spot at Literacy Night. Parents and guardians want to support their students' learning. They're eager to work and provide support at home, but they need adequate materials and access and understanding of their curriculum in order to be active partners in their students' learning. We are really grateful for our partnership with the MCPS Office of Curriculum and Instructional Programs. We want to strongly endorse MCPS's vision for math and the elementary ELA curriculum. We want to see that same approach of a research-based adoption of excellent instructional materials and associated professional development in science and high school English. Budgets are tight, but there are some assets that are not enumerated on the MCPS balance sheet. We never capture the sheer amount of volunteer time and energy that parents, guardians, and our older students invest in the school system. I know we do not capture that extra time that the board invests above and beyond. And I know there are so many MCPS leaders, administrators, and teachers who start their days at dawn and leave to go home after an evening meeting or event. If our elected leaders can deliver the money, if MCPS can deliver the vision and inspiration, we parents, guardians, and advocates can bring the energy and hard work. We will fill those parking lots and we can do these big things.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I want to thank all of our students and organizations that have come out to provide testimony. It's so important for the board to hear these issues from your perspective, from your experiences, from being in the classrooms day in and day out. So I really appreciate it. At this time, I'm going to turn to my colleagues to see if they have any questions or comments. Please turn on your lights. Ms. Harris.
Yeah, I did just want to thank all of our students, advocates who came forward with so many very thoughtful and constructive ideas, not just for work that they want the system to do, but work that they are helping the system to do. It's so very important, and I think it's a testament to the educational programming that they receive in our schools, that they are this good at that advocacy and that they are this generous as human beings.
I don't see Ms. Wolf, but I don't see any other lights on. At this time, we're going to take a 10-minute break. We are at 7:28, so we'll come back at 7:38. come in. First speaker is Henriette St. Gerard. Please come forward. We are a little bit ahead of schedule, so we will circle back after we get done with our list here. Our next speaker is Jennifer Jackson.
Saludos, greetings. My name is Jennifer Jackson, and I am testifying today on behalf of MCCPTA ESOL, Curriculum and DEI Committees regarding the urgent need to increase support for our emerging multilingual learners and English language development services. Additionally, I want to share that I am a staff member and proud parent of two beautiful children at Bayard Rustin Elementary School. And the purpose of our testimony today is to underscore the need for the Board of Education to prioritize funding for the students for the 2025 budget. As the Department of English Language and Multilingual Education presented to the Board of Education on January 11, 2024, as of November 1st, more than 31,000 EMLs in grade K through 12 are receiving ELD services. This number is likely to eclipse last year's total by the end of the year, given mid-year spikes typically seen in EML enrollment. Therefore, we urge MCPS and the Board of Education to prioritize funding for this growing population. We are thankful to Delmi for sharing an action plan for 2023-2024 as it relates to the Cal report on ELD instruction and Latino student achievement in MCPS. We are encouraged to hear the efforts are underway to monitor student attendance, support EML students and newcomer families, to address the high rates of EMLs who are dually coded as in need for special education services, and also to provide more professional development to teachers. Missing from this action plan, however, is a plan for sustained collaboration with EML parents, caregivers, and other important members of this community. As such, as we did during our testimony last year, March 7th, we are again highlighting how essential it is for MCPS to increase its engagement with stakeholders as it moves forward with its action plan for addressing the CAL's report's recommendations. As mentioned before, we recommend creating a working group that includes caregivers and students to collaborate with MCPS by providing input into the development of the CAL report action plan, as well as assisting with monitoring progress over time. As President Silvestre noted at the end of the presentation in January, we also would like to see a greater focus on measuring and communicating with the public the outcome of the action plan. To that end, we look forward to hearing updates from Delmi, including quantitative data related to the outcome outlined in the action plan. With respect to the 2025 fiscal year budget for EML support, we appreciate that the FY25 budget increases ELD support staff by 37 FTE. As we heard from ELD teachers, that funding formulas need to account for end-of-year numbers of EMLs in school due to the influx of students during the second semester. We therefore urge MCPS and the Board of Education to maintain the proposed 37 FTE increase in ELD support staff, and to increase it further given the large number of schools with demonstrated need. Teachers report not having enough instructors to provide small class sizes and ask that funding be increased for schools with high levels of newcomers and students who are early in their English learning journey, as they need more support and time with an ELD teacher. Besides the operating budget's inclusion of more FTE staff and professional development, however, it's difficult to ascertain from the budget what funds are being allocated to the aspects of the Delmi Action Plan. And indeed, the FY25 budget indicates that Delme's budget is actually decreasing by $40,000. We know from the Cal report that significant challenges exist with respect to EML students' needs, and that MCPS has a long way to go to fully meet the needs of this growing population. We therefore ask that MCPS share more specific information regarding the Delme budget and how it relates to the action plan shared on January 11th. As you have heard in other testimony, and as the Board of Education itself has indicated, we ask MCPS to assess and rigorously evaluate the impact of various services, programs, and interventions on EML population. Once again, we appreciate the information MCPS has shared regarding its plan to better support EML learners, and we look forward to seeing more ELD staff supporting our EML learners next year. At the same time, we ask that the Board of Education play its role in ensuring adequate funding is provided for the proposed initiatives, that parents and student stakeholders are involved in developing and monitoring them. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Henry St. Gerard, please come forward. You're on.
Oh, it's on. Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Andre St. Gerard, and I am co-cluster coordinator for Sherwood Cluster and the AVP for the Northeast Consortium. I have 3 children at MCPS, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight on the operating budget. Before going into specific concerns, I want to emphasize and stress that your recommendations and decision-making be viewed through an equity lens. This is crucial to ensure that all our students and schools are provided with adequate resources necessary for the success and growth. Additionally, I urge you to actively listen to the concerns and needs of our parents and families regarding special education programming. While I cannot speak to the adequacy of funding in the recommended budget for special education programming, I encourage you to hear my fellow cluster coordinators and parent volunteers who have a greater knowledge and direct experience in this space. Reflecting on my testimony from a year ago, I commended MCPS for a strategic use of ESSER funds to support crucial initiatives such as summer school, tutoring, mental health services, and the Montgomery Virtual Academy. I urge the board to consider long-term planning to sustain these programs beyond the ESSER funding period. Today, as we face the impending end to ESSER funding in 2024, September, I am happy to see a dedicated funds in the operating budget for social worker and psychologist positions, along with contractual service for mental health. Recognizing the constant pressures our children face from a mental health perspective, these additions are crucial for maintaining the well-being and emotional health. I commend the prioritization of these aspects in the FY25 budget. Additionally, I note reductions of approximately $430,000 for contractual service and replacement of HVAC units and in 1 HVAC maintenance FTE. While not a substantial amount, considering the recurring HVAC issues in our school, every dollar is crucial in ensuring an efficient system for repairs and replacements. As previously emphasized during my capital budget remarks, we must prioritize and invest in efficient approaches to manage HVAC repairs and replacements, ensuring a safe learning environment for our students. Another matter of significance is the perceived lack of transparency and occasional disregard for the seriousness of investigating and addressing reported misconduct within MCPS. Additional reports of acts of retaliation create a concerning cycle of unreported misconduct, hindering the resolution of critical issues and protecting certain jobs. While I recognize that there are ongoing investigations, I urge the board to do more than release strongly worded statements and call on MCPS to hold people accountable and invest in processes to address misconduct, fostering trust and confidence in the system. The reported lack of transparency and accountability in these investigations is alarming, and acts of retaliation underscore a broken system that prioritizes protecting individuals rather than ensuring accountability. In conclusion, the board must make it known that it understands the gravity of the situation as you deliberate on the FY25 operating budget. Let us collectively prioritize the needs of our students and work towards providing the best education possible in Montgomery County, free from the distraction of unreported and ignored misconduct that is not treated with the seriousness it demands. I thank you very much for the time and consideration.
Thank you. Our next speakers are Samit Sharma and Junha Lui. Please come forward. Liu.
Good evening. My name is Sumit Sharma. Junhua Liu and I are the Wooden Clusters testifying on its behalf. Today we stand before you to address the crucial issues that demand our attention and concerted efforts in the operating budget. These issues not only impact the quality of education, but also the well-being of our students. We would like to focus on 3 issues in particular today. The first is the shortage of qualified teachers. Since the pandemic, we have witnessed a concerning shortage of qualified teachers in our school. This shortage directly affects the quality of our education our students receive. It's not merely a numerical gap, instead it translates into a larger issue such as class sizes, stretched resources, and diminish opportunities for our children to thrive academically. We urge the board to consider strategic initiatives to attract and retain qualified educators. Competitive salaries, professional development opportunities, and mentorship programs play a pivotal role in addressing this shortage. Investing in our teachers facilitates the future success of our students. That's obvious. Second is the drug and vaping issue in middle and high schools. The prevalence of substance abuse in our middle and high schools is an issue that still demands urgent attention. We cannot turn a blind eye to the impact it has on the well-being and academic performance of our students. It's imperative that we allocate resources towards comprehensive prevention programs, counseling services, and collaboration closely with law enforcement agencies. They're not bad people. By including budgetary provisions for anti-drug initiatives, awareness campaigns, and support systems for students facing substance abuse challenges, we send a clear message that the safety and well-being of our students are non-negotiable priorities. Third, we must ensure a healthy and safe environment. Again, obvious issues. Every student deserves to learn in an environment that is conducive to their overall health and safety. Unfortunately, there are concerns related to broken infrastructure, non-functional HVAC systems, security measures, and a lack of clean drinking water in our schools. We implore the board to allocate resources necessary for facility improvements, updated security protocols, and installing new water fountains. Simple stuff. A healthy and safe environment is the bedrock of effective learning. Please let us invest in the physical spaces where our students spend a significant portion of their formative years. In closing, we appreciate the opportunity to address these critical issues. As stewards of our school system, we have a collective responsibility to ensure that our schools provide an environment where every student can thrive academically, emotionally, and socially. And again, very basic stuff. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Amy Ackberg Hastings. Please come forward.
Good evening, President Silvestri and the Board of Education, Dr. McKnight, and MCPS staff. My name is Amy Ackberg Hastings. I serve MCCPTA as a Richard Montgomery Cluster Coordinator, and I am the parent of a Richard Montgomery High School sophomore. We appreciate the careful stewardship of financial and human resources in our cluster and the professional conduct of our teachers and staff. We are also grateful for the provisions of the fiscal year 2024 operating budget, such as an additional security assistant at Richard Montgomery. Our priorities for implementing the proposed fiscal year 2025 operating budget emphasize inequities in staffing ratios, allocations, and formulas that impact our school's abilities to serve students. Please see our written testimony for further details. For instance, formulas need to consider both percentages of students and total numbers of students because our schools are not all the same size. Specifically, Bayard Rustin Elementary School currently needs an assistant school administrator and a second bilingual office support person to assist with behavior management, family engagement, and all of the other things that happen in an elementary school with 806 students. Allocations for reading, focus, and staff development specialists need to be at least 1.0 for each position in school, and the allocations need to be set at 1.0 throughout the staffing process, not cut and then restored after principals spend valuable time fighting for what we already know students need. At the elementary level, the 50-to-1 ratio for lunch and recess supervision creates unsafe situations and inhibits relationship building. Further, one psychologist should not be asked to serve multiple schools, and the 600-to-1 ratio for counselors makes it impossible to provide the essential care and attention every student deserves. At the secondary level, Richard Montgomery High School and Julius West Middle School need full-time counselors and additional teachers to serve our increasing populations of emergent multilingual learners. As you've heard from other clusters, full-time restorative justice coaches are needed as well. With year-round testing and additional assessments such as alternate learning objectives testing, all schools must have dedicated testing coordinators. Our building services staff must be sufficient to deal with the constant use of our buildings. In particular, Bayard Rustin needs an additional half-time employee, and Richard Montgomery needs at least one more worker. Enrollment planning in the spring has to anticipate the surges of late enrollment that occur in the fall. We know what the patterns are with respect to international arrivals, special education needs, family mobility, and the like. So why are we making summer preparations more difficult for our schools than they need to be? Bell Elementary School points out that stingy spring planning also too frequently results in classes that exceed MCPS's maximum class size guidelines. These large class sizes make it difficult for teachers to address the multiple levels of need that exist in every classroom. Other concerns that have arisen in our cluster include that we are alarmed about possible changes in the process for identifying focus in Title I schools toward the discretion of central office and away from community input. We urge MCPS to base these designations on concrete, transparent criteria. We ask for the reinstatement of after-school tutoring in English language arts and math for students at Twin Brook Elementary School, an example of the targeted approach to tutoring that MCPS's research has shown to be effective. Summer professional development should be available to all paraeducators so they can deliver research-based interventions in reading or math from the first day of school. Our temporary part-time workers who de-escalate the behaviors of our most challenging students should be eligible for permanent status and benefits after 6 months of employment so that these high-need students receive continuity of care. The implementation of the homeschool model for special education needs improvement. Many of our schools are understaffed according to MCPS's guidelines, yet students are continually added to the program. And some students remain in the program when it is not an appropriate placement for them. Schools need the special education office to partner with them more productively in these situations. Finally, above grade level texts have yet to be provided to middle school English language arts classrooms. Thank you for your attention to these priorities. Our schools work hard at developing encouraging positive cultures, and it is crucial to allocate and implement operating budget funding wisely so our educators can ensure that students grow into a well-educated, community-oriented, physically and mentally healthy, emotionally mature adults.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Laura Stewart. Please come forward.
Good evening, President Silvestre, Vice President Harris, and Dr. McKnight. Hello, my name is Laura Stewart. I'm the Down County Area Vice President, and I'm here to speak for the Blair Cluster. This is a tight budget, but we must prioritize child-centered education serving the whole child. This has been a tremendously tumultuous time for MCPS and the school board, but we cannot let that get in the way of serving our kids. Blair High School is the largest high school in the county and needs more counselors to serve their needs. Each high school has one social worker, no matter the population. Please focus other resources to supplement the social worker position so that the population can be adequately served. The student body and parents are also frustrated that there is no indoor place to graduate, and they are concerned that if there is not a rain date for outdoor graduation, they'll be up a creek. The population feels ignored and would like to have another option that can accommodate the 800 seniors. At the very least, a rain date would relieve the anxiety of senior families. The rest of my comments will focus on the Board of Education operating budget hearing. I'd like to focus on accountability, collaboration, and transparency. Please prioritize Title I schools and schools with high concentrations of poverty. If they must lose staff, utilizing wraparound services and implementing all 4 pillars of the community school model will blunt the blow. I request that a community school model policy be passed that focuses on all 4 pillars, including integrated student supports, expanded and enriched learning time and opportunities, active family and community engagement, and collaborative leadership and practices. The Office of Maintenance and Facilities Management is doing some visionary work, and they need more staff to accomplish this vision. Construction projects are becoming increasingly complicated due to delays and worker shortages. The need for communication with parents is great so that we can work through less than ideal conditions. A dedicated staff person to coordinate communication will ultimately help streamline construction so that issues can be proactively addressed. I want to share that the new School Construction Impact Team, or the SCIT, are popular with parents, and we have already seen them build trust and increase collaboration between school communities and MCPS. I urge MCPS to continue to build out the excellent school profiles to include a tab linking to facility indicators, HVAC evaluations, water quality reports, and a school construction page. We also ask that a list of HVAC systems and when they are to be replaced to be listed. I hope that the school profiles can be truly a one-stop shop for all publicly available data. I am pleased the budget includes the facility maintenance database. A few years ago, we were told that maintenance tickets would be able to be viewed by the public, and I hope you consider to complete that project. We are pleased that there is a contract to evaluate our school transportation system. We would like to see the school start time study to be a part of that contract. The National PTA and National Education Association and others endorse this statement recommending that schools start classes no earlier than 8:30 a.m. This would be the perfect time to consider county transportation resources along with MCPS's resources. Lastly, all school safety policies and policies ensuring that Title IV and Title IX are being followed and must be reviewed and updated. The myriad of lawsuits that we are now combating and eventually new ones that will be filed due to past weak policies are draining our school resources and also draining teacher and student morale. It's time we move on as a school system and finally move towards a system that values accountability and excellence. Adding more transparency into the system, including the budget, will build trust among all stakeholders. I want to thank you for your years of work. I know we're going to continue to get better, and I hope I can be there with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Gail Ravitsky Silberglied. Please come forward.
Thank you for the opportunity to testify on behalf of the MCC-PTA Technology Committee. I'm Gail Silberglied. I have 3 kids in MCPS schools, and I'm a part-time substitute teacher. So I see a lot of technology issues firsthand. My testimony today supports 3 elements of the Digital Balance Resolution, and I offer low-cost, common-sense solutions. Number 1, please continue to invest in books. Studies show that with anything longer than 1 page, reading comprehension suffers if it's being read online. Please invest in printed pages. Number 2, cell phones are a major distraction. Teacher that I know used their own funds to buy one of these. They said, quote, "In my class, all students put their phones in an assigned number slot at the beginning of class. This has made a huge difference. No more nagging, no more distractions, no more temptations. I'm much happier, and the students admit that it helps them too." End quote. There are legit reasons why parents want their kids to have cell phones at school, so banning them may not work. But here's a solution. Make these available to teachers, especially in high school. School districts across the country are doing that. A small investment like that would be incredibly effective in helping our students focus. Please budget for this. Number three, Chromebook overuse. Chromebook overuse. Of course, there are some major benefits to technology, especially in certain classes and for accommodations, of course. But I have a top 10 list why Chromebook overuse is a problem. You can see my written testimony for the whole thing, but here are a few of them. Teachers report that handwritten assignments are more likely to be submitted than one on a Chromebook. That's right, the assignment just doesn't get turned in because they go to do it, and guess what? It's too distracting. They've got their Instagram to check. Number two, students play video games during class instruction every day. I've seen this personally myself. It's highly distracting to other students and obviously is not a great learning environment. Student handwriting has suffered immeasurably since the pandemic. And guess what happens when you tell students they can go on their Chromebooks as soon as they finish their paper assignment? They often rush through. Here's an actual conversation that occurred in a third grade classroom. "Ms. Rav, what should we do when we're done?" "Oh, I have another worksheet for you." Oh, then I'm not done. I'm not done. So students are getting frustrated. They get frustrated and exhausted because of multiple apps and platforms. I just heard of a student today who literally punched his Chromebook and shouted, "Damn apps!" The use of Chromebooks at home just increases the wear and tear, and they'll need to be replaced more often. Does your middle schooler use a Chromebook at home to play games and watch YouTube videos? And yes, they can access YouTube. 10, students need to see the feedback from their teachers. Many students do not look at comments and/or corrections to their writing when they have to click a bunch of times to see it. So the solution for middle school is to keep Chromebooks at school on a cart. Send home written homework. This will let parents and caregivers see the actual homework, and it will let students practice their handwriting skills. Rachel Wolfson is a high school senior, and I asked her to join me today to share her perspective.
Hello, my name is Rachel Wolfson. I'm a senior at Walter Johnson High School. I'm one of the print editors-in-chief of our school newspaper, The Pitch. In my editorial titled "The Case for Handwritten Assignments," I write about the importance of using less Chromebooks and the value of returning to paper and pen. When we type on the computer, we're not properly learning how to write. Writing and editing are two different processes that should not take place at the same time. As we type, the computer corrects our grammar, not giving students the chance themselves to edit their work. As a result, we do not learn the rules of grammar properly. We're too reliant on the computer's corrections. I thought that the screens would disappear after online school during the pandemic, and yet we use them more than ever now. COVID had a negative impact on students' mental health as we were isolated from our school communities. But another reason why students' mental health decayed during the pandemic was because we were on the screens too much due to classes turning virtual. We may be back in person, but we haven't left the ways of online COVID school. I know that I'm not alone in feeling this way. I've gotten a lot of feedback from my classmates and friends that they agree with my editorial. My classmates prefer to read articles and readings on paper rather than online. Even taking tests online throws people off. Before COVID, we hardly had any tests that were online. However, after enduring Zoom school, it seems that computer tests have become the new norm. Taking tests are stressful experiences and are even more draining online. We can't annotate our tests on the computer. In concluding, I believe that MCPS should reevaluate their over-reliance on computers. Cutting back on computers will not only help students become successful learners, but will also greatly improve students' mental health. Thank you.
Thank you.
And since we have 28 seconds left, I just want to take a moment to say this is a long hearing. It's one of many, many, many that go on, and you all have been attentive and listening, and I appreciate it. You don't have Chromebooks in front of you, you don't have cell phones binging and all of that, and also your staff, who we work with very closely. I want to thank them very much for all of their work and attention and efforts to engage our public. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Heinz Weverick. Please come forward.
Good evening. I'm Heinz Weverick. I'm the cluster coordinator for the Springbrook cluster. We go through this process every year. And every year, regardless of who the superintendent is, that superintendent is going to ask for a little bit more money. That's normal. The rest of us are sitting here saying, how much more can we give? And what are we getting for it? As a representative of the community of students and parents, we're given an opportunity to review the budget and comment on it as part of our partnership with MCPS. A couple of weeks ago, we sat down on a Saturday and got some answers to some questions. I'm almost close to having Seth Adams as my BFF. I want you to know that. But the problem I have is that budget is this big. My staff has got 4 paws and a lot of fur, and they're useless. And I have to maintain my day activities too. What I would love to see is if we can start our input at the beginning of the process, be it, I'm not sure exactly how you process the budget, whether it's done by segments or categories, and let our various members of MCC-PTA who specialize or have an interest in those areas put their input in up front instead of having us stand here and try and convince you to change an almost finished product. Not that you wouldn't pay attention to us, I don't want to say that. And what happens when you've got that big budget is those of us that are testifying are going to do one of 2 things. We're going to pinpoint specific areas that are of interest to us. And in the case of $3 billion, in a lot of those cases, it's nickels and dimes. New toilets in all the schools, that's not nickels and dimes, but probably worth looking at. And the other way to do it is broad generalities. That's the category I'm going to fit into. The biggest concern that I have in having to support our children, provide, and our children means all of them, not just mine, not just yours, the ones with mental or physical limitations, they're all our children. We need to take care of all of them. And they need to be able to walk into an atmosphere that is welcoming, that is ready for them, that they can feel proud of. When I went to school in Prince George's County, you should hear the stories we told about Bladensburg. When we have some of the oldest schools in the system in my cluster, we have a lot of older schools, and they are all in need of maintenance. We've already mentioned the HVAC. We look at the leaking roofs, black mold, peeling paint, worn out seats and floors in gymnasiums, ADA non-compliance. That's not a welcome atmosphere. It's not a safe atmosphere. You know, when you go into a gymnasium and equipment falls off the ceiling, definitely not a safe atmosphere. And we need to focus so that in terms of equity, every child in this school system has a building that is equivalent and as safe as every other building. And we don't have that. We need to put our money where we've already invested. We need to maintain what we have because we certainly can't afford to spend $158 million times 216. We don't have it. And I'll close, the rest of it you already have in writing, but Seth and I had a conversation about one missing component in the budget. It's called human capital. Especially in this metropolitan region, we have so many experts in so many different fields. Let's draw them in and actually listen to their input and have them help solve some of our issues.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. Our next speaker is via video, Nicholas Basie. Please play the video.
Greetings. I'm Nicholas Basie, Paint Branch Cluster Co-Coordinator and proud MCPS parent. This testimony was crafted in consultation with leaders from all of the schools in the Paint Branch Cluster. As you might recall from our CIP and operating budget testimony over the past several years, our cluster has two central priorities: ensuring the physical and emotional safety of our students and securing the resources and support needed to find and keep high-performing teachers and other staff. With hundreds of students per school, or thousands in the case of Paint Branch, current mental health support is inadequate. As we have requested before, we need additional mental health personnel to help our students to proactively address issues. We also need the flexibility to be creative with our existing staff, especially those supporting students with unique needs. This is particularly acute as our schools work to provide meaningful support now without access to CARES Act resources. Several of our students are also interested in applying the MCPS approach to restorative justice, but are unable to fully implement it without dedicated full-time staff. From a physical safety perspective, we are still disheartened that even after multiple elementary school shootings across the country, including in Virginia, our elementary schools have no dedicated security. MCPS middle and high schools do. Why not our elementary schools? The urgency around security after the most recent tragedies seems to have waned, and we are still vulnerable. As we say each year, we are not requesting elementary school police. We are requesting a consistent approach to hiring full-time security professionals who monitor school cameras, manage morning and afternoon traffic jams, de-escalate conflicts, and deter unwelcome visitors. The need for additional security personnel and crossing guards consistently comes up from each of our cluster's elementary and middle schools. Our rovers are great, but each elementary school needs dedicated security personnel. Now, despite our amazing staff, shortages continue to make it harder for us to achieve the MCPS mission and vision. We need more school psychologists, instructional specialists, and paraeducators, especially to support members of our community with special needs. MCPS must prioritize attracting and retaining top talent that will otherwise surely go elsewhere. It is also clear that these needs are not new. Similar staffing requests have been made by our cluster since at least 2016. Please partner with us to address these historical issues. In addition to these core themes, each school also has unique priorities. For our elementary schools, Burtonsville needs additional staffing to support English learners, as well as additional staffing to support student well-being. They also need additional safety and security personnel to assist with traffic in the parent pickup area. Cloverly Elementary needs additional staff to support English learners and to support student mindfulness and social emotional wellness. Fairland needs staffing to monitor and ensure safety and security. Galway Elementary needs action to encourage retention of permanent and substitute teachers, as well as stipends to encourage teacher support of after-school activities. Greencastle Elementary needs an additional secretary to assist in the implementation of their many programs, a facilities aide to support safe transitions in and around their many portables, an additional building services position to support their 768 elementary students, trained staff to support their 172 students with IEPs, as well as additional safety and security personnel. Page Elementary needs 2 to 3 more rovers or dedicated security personnel, as well as activity buses for after-school programs that are paid for centrally, not through the school's existing budget. Our middle schools. Banneker prioritizes staff to support student social emotional wellness generally, as well as greater support for students with special needs. Briggs Cheney requests staff dedicated to implementing the MCPS restorative justice model, as well as additional security personnel. Paint Branch High School prioritizes personnel dedicated to restorative justice and thanks you for the additional security position. Now, we recognize the financial constraints that you face in allocating the MCPS operating budget. We certainly do. Now, despite these constraints, we urge you to allocate an appropriate share to the Paint Branch Cluster's critical needs as outlined in this testimony. We thank you for your time, attention, and partnership.
Thank you. Our next speaker is also via video, Kristen Erdheim. Please play the video.
Good evening, Dr. McKnight and members of the board. My name is Kristen Erdheim, and I serve as Magruder Cluster Coordinator along with Kim Glassman and April Jones. I'm a parent to 3 current MCPS students, a recent MCPS grad, and I'm also a substitute teacher in the county. Magruder Cluster is home to an increased number of students who are FARMS eligible, an increased number of students who are English language learners, and many discrete special education programs. As the number of students and families requiring support grows, so do our budgetary and staffing needs. There have been increasing challenges in many of our special education programs due to a lack of sufficient spaces in specialized programs, resulting in many more students with significant needs in our cluster. Many of the learning centers, specifically in the K through 3 years at both Mill Creek Town and Sequoia, have multiple students in each class with more challenging needs than these centers can provide support for. Teachers and staff are doing the best they can with current staffing, but the needs of many of these children are immense, and it is difficult to meet all students' needs with current staffing levels, especially since many of the students require one-on-one assistance throughout the day. We request that MCPS consider adding more specialized program classrooms throughout the county and increase staffing in current classes. Simply put, there are more kids with significant needs than there are spaces in classrooms with a sufficient number of qualified and trained staff to support them. Our students continue to show significant mental health concerns, including our youngest learners, as well as academic deficits that continue to linger. The operating budget must prioritize the social, emotional, and academic needs of our community, recognize that the degree of impact continues to rise. We know staffing continues to be a county, state, and national problem in public education, but these challenges do not change what our children require. Many staff members are stretched too thin, using their planning time to cover classes without adequate pay and supporting the wide range of students' emotional and academic challenges. Paraprofessionals are left covering classes when substitutes are not available, leaving classrooms inadequately staffed and are doing so without adequate compensation for the additional responsibilities. Special education vacancies are especially impactful as our special educators have additional duties on top of their teaching responsibilities based on the increasing needs of our students. We request the necessary staffing throughout the cluster to provide our students with the academic and emotional support they require, including necessary staff to provide mental health support that is without limitation to who can access it. We request that MCPS adhere to a 250-to-1 student-to-counselor ratio at a minimum, especially in the more impacted schools like many in our cluster. 1 counselor for 500 students is simply not enough to address the needs. We also request that every elementary school has an assistant principal and every middle school maintains its current administrator allocations. Smaller schools do not mean fewer needs. We request that the staffing allocations reflect the needs of our population and are not just based on numbers and ratios. Many of our schools have highly impacted students, and we should be making sure we have enough administrators, qualified staff, and counselors to address their needs. The mental health needs of our students are severe. We recommend continuing to implement systematic screenings to all students to provide appropriate intervention and make necessary connections to mental health providers. We request expanding the use of school-based social workers and other mental health partnerships cluster-wide to reach all of our students. We request additional counselors at every school to adhere to a 250-to-1 ratio at a minimum. Given the greater needs of our students, we feel more counselors are needed at all levels to ensure these students are given the adequate access to help should they require it. Given the increased needs of our community, including Flower Hill now having Title I status, our cluster schools have taken on food distribution, gift card distribution, and provided other necessary support for families. We must ensure that we continue to have structures in place for outreach in our underrepresented communities. We request the addition of dedicated parent and community coordinators to ensure our diverse community needs can be met, as well as increased transportation access in parts of our cluster to ensure our families can receive the support they need. Many of our students continue to have deficits in foundational reading, writing, and math skills. This is evident from the abysmal test scores we are seeing throughout the county. MCPS needs to infuse these skills into the curriculum and provide intervention as needed. There is also a disconnect between AP class grades and scores on the exams. Our AP students need access to more academic resources to be successful on these exams, including tutoring and other targeted interventions. In addition, MCPS should work collaboratively with volunteers and community partners, including nonprofit and private sectors, to bring additional academic support across all grade levels to be accessible during instructional hours. This is most important in our highly impacted communities like Magruder, where most children do not have access to after-school transportation or the ability to pay for tutors. Thank you for your time. We hope for continued growth and building a stronger future for our students within the Magruder cluster.
Thank you. Our next speaker, also via video, is Susan Livesey. Please play the video.
Good evening, President Silvestri, Superintendent McKnight, and members of the Board of Education. My name is Susan Livesey. I'm the parent of a 10th grader at Winston Churchill High School and one of the Winston Churchill cluster coordinators. My fellow cluster coordinator, Lauren Berkowitz, and I thank you for this opportunity to testify regarding the recommended fiscal year 2025 operating budget and the needs of the Churchill cluster. The top need for our schools is increased staffing. Increased staffing at the local school level and not top-heavy hiring at MCPS central office is crucial to increasing student outcomes. Additional teachers and supports will foster better relationships with students. Not all schools are alike, and staffing them in accordance with a county-wide cookie-cutter staffing formula does not work. It's time to rethink staffing models and look at the school clusters differently. Despite the public perception of what our cluster schools may already have, they still have needs in order to provide a safe and engaging learning experience that will enable our students to thrive. While an increase in general teacher staffing is a must, additional support for special education, including paraeducators, ELL, and counselors, is especially important. It is vital for staffing needs to stay current with student enrollment numbers that inevitably change throughout the school year. Our schools have lost teachers based upon lower student enrollment numbers, and were not able to get those teachers back when enrollment increased soon thereafter. Every day, our teachers struggle to effectively manage their classes. Some of our teachers have reported class sizes of more than 30 students, with as many as 1/3 of those students having IEPs. IEPs are often difficult to understand, implement, and coordinate with the needs of all students in the class. Our cluster schools continue to wait for special education training they requested. Teachers with IEP students are often called to participate in IEP meetings during their lesson preparation time so as to not interrupt class time. For many teachers who may have IEP meetings as frequently as once per week, valuable planning time is not recovered during their workday. These teachers are left no alternative but to use personal time for planning lessons. Please give teachers the time they need for lesson preparation. Teachers are exhausted. Many good teachers have left the profession, while current teachers may not take on additional duties even if a stipend is offered. Teachers simply do not have the time to take on other duties. Additional staffing in the local schools is imperative to fulfill IEP and 504 accommodations. An elementary school parent shared a story of when a reading specialist was not available for her daughter, whose IEP required reading intervention sessions. When this occurred, a special education teacher was called to substitute. When the special education teacher was also not available, the reading intervention session was canceled and not rescheduled due to staffing demands. Her daughter, who was already behind, fell further behind. Unfortunately, this occurred on multiple occasions. More full-time paraeducators are needed to support special education students on a daily basis in the classrooms. This support is crucial when a student needs individual help or has behavioral issues that can lead to disruptions in the learning environment. Student needs have become more intensive. Understaffing in these situations perpetuates learning disruptions and causes potential safety issues. Students who experience learning disruptions due to the behavioral issues of other students experience anxiety, do not feel safe, and begin to feel animosity towards that student, all things we don't want to happen in our schools. Security personnel at our elementary schools have seen a rise in behavioral issues. These issues need early intervention so they do not become chronic when the student continues through middle and high school. It's time to make a better effort to recruit and retain our valuable paraeducators by paying them a fair wage, providing employment benefits, and offering professional development opportunities. More full-time counseling staff in our schools is needed. Our counselors are overwhelmed managing their ever-increasing 504 caseloads and have difficulty being available for the everyday needs of students. This threatens the mental health and safety of our students and prevents them from performing at their best. Increased ELL support is also necessary. Our schools would like to see a minimum of a 1.0 FTE position assigned to each school, given our current and emerging diverse student population. The current minimum of 0.4 FTE position does not provide the consistent support our diverse students need to navigate and excel in their education. Additional training for our teachers and staff is needed. Training needs to be more thoughtful by being tailored to individual schools or school cluster demographics and needs. Teachers and staff want more practical solutions, not rhetoric. Training implemented as a result of the anti-racist audit should not be a one-size-fits-all, but should dovetail with the individual schools or school clusters and be more meaningful and impactful. Thank you again for this opportunity to testify today.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Evelyn Chung via video. Please play the video.
Hello, my name is Evelyn Chung, and I'm here today to speak on behalf of the MCC-PTA Curriculum Committee. Our county is experiencing an educational crisis. Students' math and ELA scores have improved, but continue to be shockingly low. We need a fully funded operating budget more than ever. We have seen and strongly support MCPS's robust, research-based, and thoughtful plan for math, which includes more instructional coaches, professional development, and the purchase of high-quality math curriculum. We likewise support MCPS's plan to adopt a high-quality elementary ELA curriculum, but urge MCPS to increase year-round professional development and coaching of our elementary and secondary ELA teachers and adoption of an externally vetted high school English curriculum. However, it is time to make the same level of commitment to science. Beginning this year, the State Science Assessment, the NISA, will be incorporated into high school biology grades, and students must pass biology in order to graduate. This is the problem when the majority of students do not pass the NISA. MCPS's thinly staffed central office team is writing curriculum in-house to meet the next-gen science standard. However, writing curriculum in-house takes time, and we don't have that luxury. We should shortcut this process by adopting an external science curriculum. Instructional materials comprise only 1% of our $3 billion operating budget, but are critical to ensuring consistent quality across our classrooms so that your zip code, race, or wealth don't determine your educational experience. In randomized controlled studies, elementary students' science achievement improved significantly after implementing the Amplify Science curriculum by an average of 10 to 18 percentage points on different measures. The children spent more time on science in the control group, but their literacy achievement was about the same. In other words, with the right curriculum, our children can learn more science in elementary school without sacrificing their reading skills, and similar results were found in middle school. Buying a science curriculum leverages the expertise of national vendors. It allows MCPS to shift their instructional specialists' focus to training and implementation across 210 schools. Vendors also can provide lab kits, diagnostics, and print materials at cheaper bulk rates, so teachers can spend their time planning lessons instead of making copies. Moreover, by providing kits and hard copy materials, we make sure that students aren't just sitting in front of PowerPoints and science labs. In addition to purchasing high-quality curricula, MCPS must invest in year-round coaching and professional development for science and provide sufficient substitute coverage for all student subjects. They should provide incentives to staff credentialed teachers in high-demand areas such as special education, science, and technology so that students aren't learning from long-term stuff. And finally, we need solid evaluations to select which programs to retain and which to cut. Last year, MCPS asked the board to approve $5 million for Leader in Me curriculum, despite an OSA analysis that showed that the vast majority of school teachers and administrators observed no positive impact. This year, an OSA analysis has shown that the Innovative School Calendar program, which costs $2.6 million per year, does not result in better student outcomes. Parents and staff at Nix Elementary School have asked to return to a traditional calendar, but MCPS persists in continuing the program. There are better uses for our money. Similarly, MCPS spends millions a year on King Museum after-school programs and electives, but its evaluations don't measure student outcomes, only enrollment. Moreover, King Museum continues to be funded through a sole source justification contract, so we don't know if there are other vendors who could do similar work for better value or even funded by federal grants, as many of the other tech initiatives have been. Meanwhile, MCPS is conducting an RFP to potentially replace its existing K-8 math curricula, but hasn't even completed an evaluation to see how it is working. If OSA doesn't have enough staff to help us evaluate the programs in this $3 billion operating budget, then perhaps MCPS needs to hire more OSA analysts. Thank you for listening, and please read my full testimony for more recommendations.
Okay, thank you. That concludes our cluster representatives. I will now pause to see if my colleagues have any questions or comments. Okay. Seeing none, we are going to move on to our individuals providing testimony. Our next speaker is Megan Grana. Please come forward. Just press the button underneath your microphone. There you go.
Good evening, Dr. McKnight and members of the board. My name is Megan Grana, and I'm one of 54 dedicated professionals that serve MCPS as people personnel workers. I have 21 years of education experience, and I currently serve on the Collaboration Council Leadership Committee, PPW Steering Committee, and Professional Standards Committee. I'd like to thank the board members for the opportunity to share the importance of the PPW role tonight. PPWs are master's level educators who serve as advocates, liaisons, and consultants for our communities. I don't need to tell anyone here how difficult these last few years have been for our children, families, and teachers, enduring a pandemic and struggling with mental health, engagement, and overall social emotional wellness. But through all the turmoil, PPWs have proven that they are relentless in their support for our most vulnerable populations, standing strong in our partnership with families and children, and supporting our schools and improving the well-being of our students. As advocates, PPWs are champions for students and families. We work tirelessly to ensure that families' rights are met and protected within the educational system. We provide expertise on county, state, and federal policy and partner closely with families, ensuring parents have the knowledge required to make informed decisions. We establish meaningful relationships with school teams and promote anti-racist practices to ensure equity and discipline in instructional strategies. As liaisons, PPWs serve as a bridge between schools and the community, connecting families with vital external resources. This includes referrals for mental health services, kinship care orientation, access to basic food and clothing resources, domestic violence support, wraparound services, crisis support, and eviction and homelessness prevention. For students currently experiencing homelessness, PPWs serve as case managers, establishing much-needed stability, safety, and support within the school setting. As consultants, PPWs support schools in meeting the needs of students, particularly in the area of attendance. We are integral members of student well-being teams, analyzing data regularly, identifying the root cause of attendance concerns, targeting intervention plans, and establishing essential relationships with family and staff to address barriers to regular attendance. But what may not be written in the PPW handbook or under our professional standards is what I consider PPWs to be most proud of. We are a soft landing for families. We partner with them at their most challenging and arduous times, and we quite literally meet families where they are at, conducting thousands of home visits annually. We are the ones that say, "Tell me what's going on, and we will figure it out together." I'm deeply proud to serve among some of the finest and most crucial professionals in this county, and I thank you again on behalf of your time. If the PPWs in the room would please stand up.
Thank you. Our next speaker, Maria Dolores Ramos. Please come forward. There's a button underneath the microphone. There you go.
Okay. Good evening. My testimony will be in Spanish. Buenas noches. Mi nombre es María Ramos. Soy madre de 2 niños de 5º y 8º grado de las escuelas públicas y en esta oportunidad vengo representando a las madres latinas. a esas valientes mujeres que sueñan con que sus hijos tengan mejores oportunidades y acceso a una educación superior que les permita triunfar académicamente y obtener puestos de trabajo donde puedan tener una calidad de vida mejor de la que sus padres tuvieron y dejaron. Es de importancia crítica que se invierta en un sistema educativo verdaderamente eficaz, que se adapte a las necesidades y el potencial únicos de cada estudiante. Por eso, como madre, representando familias cuya lengua principal no es el inglés, vengo hoy a pedir la asignación de recursos financieros, especialmente en lo que respecta a la enseñanza del idioma inglés. Específicamente, la contratación de más maestros para mejorar la calidad de aprendizaje de nuestros estudiantes. Actualmente, nos enfrentamos a una situación preocupante en la distribución de maestros de inglés en nuestras escuelas. Según las estadísticas, contamos con 40 estudiantes de inglés por cada maestro de educación primaria. En la educación secundaria, la cifra es de 38 y en la educación superior de 36. Estas cifras están muy por encima de la Recomendación Nacional para las Mejores Prácticas de Enseñanza, que sugiere un máximo de 12 estudiantes por maestro. Queremos destacar la importancia de este esfuerzo, especialmente para los niños de ESOL, quienes no han tenido la oportunidad de aprender el idioma desde la primera infancia con el método de repetición con el que todos aprendemos a comunicarnos. Dicha inversión no solo beneficiará a estos estudiantes, sino que también contribuirá positivamente al rendimiento académico general de nuestra comunidad estudiantil. Es evidente que la falta de recursos humanos en este ámbito impacta directamente en la calidad de la enseñanza. Para garantizar que nuestros estudiantes adquieran las habilidades necesarias para desenvolverse en un mundo cada vez más globalizado, es crucial invertir en la contratación de más maestros de inglés. Les instamos respetuosamente a considerar esa solicitud y a destinar los recursos económicos necesarios para mejorar la enseñanza del idioma inglés en nuestras escuelas. Estamos seguros de que esta inversión tendrá un impacto positivo, duradero en el futuro educativo de nuestros estudiantes y en la calidad de nuestra comunidad académica. Muchas gracias.
Do we have an interpreter? Thank you.
Yeah, the interpreter is seeing this for the first time, so she apologizes for any mistakes. Good evening. My name is Maria Ramos, and I am the mother of 2 children in 5th and 8th grades. This time, I come representing Latina mothers, those brave women who dream that their children have access to higher education that allows them to succeed academically and obtain jobs when they can have a different quality of life than their parents left behind. It is critically important to invest in a truly effective educational system that adapts to the unique needs and potential of each student. This means moving towards a more personalized and student-centered education model where weaknesses can be addressed and skills can be developed. Therefore, as a mother representing families whose primary language is not English, I come today to request the allocation of financial resources, especially regarding the teaching of the English language, specifically the hiring of more teachers to improve the quality of our students' learning. Currently, we face a concerning situation in the distribution of English teachers in our schools. According to our current statistics, in elementary education, we have 40 English students per teacher. In middle school, the figure is 38. And in high school, it is 36. These figures are well above the national recommendation for best teaching practices, which suggests a maximum of 12 students per teacher. We want to emphasize the importance of this effort, especially for ESOL, English for speakers of other languages, children, who have not had the opportunity to learn the language from early childhood with the repetition method we all use to communicate. This investment will not only benefit the students, but will also positively contribute to the overall academic performance of our student community. It is evident that the lack of human resources in this area directly impacts the quality of education. To ensure that our students acquire the necessary skills to navigate the increasingly globalized world, it is crucial to invest in the hiring of more English teachers. We respectfully urge you to consider this request and allocate the necessary financial resources to improve the teaching of the English language in our schools. We are confident that this investment will have a lasting positive impact on the educational future of our students and the quality of our academic community. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Silvia Vargas. Please come forward. Silvia Vargas? No? Okay. Our next speaker is Viviana Guerra. Please come forward. Viviana Guerra? No? Our next speaker is Ryan Forkert. Please come forward.
Good evening. I'm Ryan Forkert, the Vice President of MCAP. Tonight I am here to advocate for an increased emphasis on professional development for all administrators and enhanced security at elementary schools. This year, the Office of District-Wide Professional Learning ensured all system administrators receive the same anti-racist leader learning to provide coherence, equity-centered capacity building, and accountability for racial equity work within the school system. This reminded me of the former Office of Organizational Development, known as OOD, which was focused solely on the professional development of all MCPS staff. I recall the robust and meaningful professional learning I participated in that focused on system initiatives and effective leadership learning. Unfortunately, over time, this office was dismantled and various aspects of professional development were assigned to different offices across the system. The Learning Forward organization shares many benefits of professional learning that include maintaining a vision focused on educator and student improvement and coherence among initiatives. This past October, Will Miller, the president of the Wallace Foundation, presented findings from 2 decades of research highlighting the significant impact of effective principles on student, school, and teacher success. We are a learning organization first and foremost. I urge the school system to leverage the numerous achievements of our Leadership Development Unit, expanding and enhancing its initiatives. I recommend collaborating with the Leadership Development Advisory Committee, which is designed to advise the system on improving learning opportunities for system administrators. Our current focus is establishing a well-structured orientation and onboarding induction program for our central service administrators and business and operations administrators who are new to their positions. This strategic approach aims to contribute to the recruitment and retention of highly effective administrators and is a natural link to the continued professional development of all administrators. I also want to advocate for enhanced security measures in elementary schools. As a former elementary principal, I know the challenges and the stress involved in ensuring the safety of everyone in the building. The introduction of the security rovers was a positive step and is greatly appreciated. However, their effectiveness in a true emergency is contingent on their presence in the building at the time of an incident. As we rely on our building administrators to be instructional leaders, we need to provide them the assistance they need to maintain the safety of our schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Todd Harrison. Please come forward.
Good evening, members of the board, and thank you for the opportunity to testify. I'm here as a parent to ask for increased funding for school security. I understand that no amount of funding can provide absolute security for our schools, but the question facing the board tonight is how much insecurity are we willing to tolerate? Our family recently attended safety and security meetings at Julius West and Richard Montgomery, in which both schools talked about security needs that were not being met by the current budget. The schools do not have the capability to scan for weapons, and they do not have enough cameras, security guards, and alarmed entrances to fully monitor and secure the school grounds. We're also alarmed at the over-reliance on safety measures that only address potential violence from non-students. Student ID checks, for example, are a necessary but woefully insufficient measure to keep weapons out of our schools. The Montgomery County Police Department reports that there were 697 serious incidents at our schools during the 2021-2022 academic year, and 134 of these were weapons offenses. In November 2023, police found a loaded gun on a current student at Richard Montgomery. In October, police found a gun on a student at Walter Johnson. And last school year, police arrested a former student for bringing a gun to Richard Montgomery. These are just a few examples of the close calls where we've been lucky. But luck is not a strategy, and these close calls should be a wake-up call. Students should not be living in fear that someone sitting next to them in class may have a gun in their backpack because no one bothered to check. Opponents of safer schools may argue that increased safety measures, such as metal detectors, would make our schools feel like prisons. But this is not what we see when these measures are implemented in other parts of our daily lives. We feel safer when we walk into an airport, government building, or stadium with strong security. Indeed, I would note we saw many security personnel around this meeting room tonight, more than we see at our schools. What does that say about our priorities? The security measures we're calling for are not without precedent. Other school districts in our area have allocated funding for weapons detection systems, including Charles County, Prince George's County, Baltimore City, Prince William County, Alexandria, Newport News, and Fairfax County. Each time there's another school shooting, we often hear people in the local community lament that they never thought it could happen to them, but it did. We know that students are bringing guns into our schools. Recent incidents make that clear. Are we as a community willing to tolerate that? Shouldn't this be your highest priority in the budget, to provide the resources necessary to add additional layers of security? Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Natalie Bordereau. Please come forward. This is different. Oh, you were on. One more time. There you go.
Got it. There is truly not enough time for me to explain the breadth of work that we do in Career Pathways, so I am sharing my time with 2 employees who volunteered to share their stories.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Kirby Rowe, and I worked with Montgomery County Public Schools for 10 years. I started as a support staff at Tilden Middle School. Since then, I participated in every professional development program available. But I needed more than just training. This urge for continuous learning led me to the Career Pathway program. I have always had an interest in teaching, and there is a need to hire more African-American male teachers, especially in special education. I could not imagine making this career change alone. And thank goodness I wasn't alone. Thank goodness for the Career Pathway program. I did not know support staff had opportunities to get a teaching degree, and I was coached and encouraged, and I didn't need a manual or training on how to do this. I needed more. So imagine, I was a plant equipment operator, and Natalie said, Kirby, you can be a teacher. And this is how. I will help you along the way. Our leaders are struggling with teacher shortages. As a black male, I have found it necessary and important for students to see me as a role model in the classroom. So did Natalie. I'm now a special ed teacher at Blair High School. Thanks to the Career Pathway.
Buenas noches. I'm Luis Guardado. When I first moved here from El Salvador, with an engineering background. I could only start my career as a building service worker. Then I was in a teacher within a special education program, and I learned about the career pathway program at my orientations. And I thought, wow, how amazing how this organization has this program. And I thought it was just looking on the website, look for a phone number, and just make a phone call. But in fact, it's more than that, I realized. And I know my career wouldn't be how it's right now without the one-on-one coaching with Natalie and the effort with MCPS. I did multiple certifications. I finished my bachelor degrees and my graduate degree. And I'm so proud that MCPS created this program for people like me, people like Kirby, people who his language is not English and have another language. So please fund this program. And by the way, I'm really proud to be the Assistant Operation Manager for the Division of Maintenance and Operation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Our next speaker is Tiffany Kelly. Please come forward.
Good evening, Dr. McKnight and Board of Education members. My name is Tiffany Kelly. I'm testifying this evening in partnership with the Black and Brown Coalition for Educational Equity and Excellence, and I'm a member of Racial Justice Now. I have to go off script for just a moment. I am almost 50 years old. I was a child with an IQ of 130 that nearly did not graduate from high school. I was a poor Black student in a school that did not recognize my needs, and I cannot believe the testimonies I've heard here tonight that we are still fighting this battle in 2024. It is shocking. When we give up on these kids, we are giving up on our future. And I cannot believe, coming from rural America, growing up on a dirt road, that these parents and educators are going through the same things that we were going through when we didn't know any better. It's shocking to me. I'm going to continue, but I had to get that out. This country lost out on my excellence because it did not serve me well K through 12. It started there. We have got to do something differently here. The Black and Brown Coalition held a forum this past November to focus attention on the urgent need to address literacy. Over 800 Black and Brown parents attended, demonstrating their level of concern and interest in getting reading right now for their students. The MCPS Pathway to College, Career, and Community Readiness was shared by MCPS during the forum, and literacy is shown to be foundational, key to all subsequent academic success. Board of Education members, you must invest in getting reading right now. The most recent DIBELS data shows significant improvements for all students K through 12, including Black and Brown students, because we now are focusing on the science of reading. But when we dig deeper, we also are seeing that almost 60% of Black students and over 70% of Brown students in 5th grade are not proficient in reading or math. This is an academic crisis and demands priority. You must support students with the greatest need. The budget review must reorganize and differentiate existing resources to immediately and urgently provide resources to schools where large numbers of students are reading well below grade level. Your priority on academic excellence demands a focus on literacy and math. Parents need to know early what their kids need. They need an early alert system that is easily accessible, easy to understand, and highly visible. An early alert system must be plain. Our current reports are confusing, and it's not fair to our parents or these students. The coalition urges you to develop detailed, specific, and individualized reading success plans that could potentially address if there are literacy issues because of attendance. Such plans create accountability. Please dig deeper into this data. Do not go by the surface data. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Ricky Riviero. Please come forward.
Good Good evening, Dr. McKnight and Board of Education members. My name is Ricky Ribeiro, and I am an MCPS parent of a 5th grader at Glen Allen Elementary and a junior at John F. Kennedy High School, PTSA Vice President, and NAACP Parent Council Rep. I'm here testifying in solidarity with the Black and Brown Coalition, requesting that MCPS use the great data shared during this week's Board of Education Strategic Planning Committee meeting to drive resource planning. We ask that your plan includes continued deep investment in what you now know works. That resource planning must include MCPS doing a better job of helping parents, especially Black and Brown parents, due to the dismal proficiency levels that we're seeing currently reflected for our Black and Brown students in math and literacy, and to better understand when our kids are not on track. Classroom grades, particularly at the elementary level, are unreliable. Criteria for an A in any subject in elementary seems fluffy and is highly subjective to things that aren't visible to parents. Furthermore, parents don't know if the assignments their kids are being given are appropriate enough to ensure their kids get and remain on grade level. Having standardized assessments such as MAP-R and MAP-M is helpful, but still the information is thrown at parents and left to them to interpret. Even more worrisome is that when MAP-M or MAP-R scores indicate that the student is slightly below grade level, but not well below, that MCPS offers little to no guidance to educators or parents on what it means. That's the situation I found myself in when my daughter, a 5th grader at Glen Allen, was struggling with math. Her classroom grades reflected mostly B's and A's, so I didn't know there was a problem, but she would get frustrated with homework assignments because she didn't sufficiently understand the concepts. This made me suspect she had gaps in her math knowledge. Even more concerning, I later received the results of her fall MAP-M test, and the latest score showed she was slightly below grade level. But that wasn't all. This latest score represented a downward trend that had consistently started over a year ago. Her 4th grade teacher had never raised this with me in any concerns at all. During my parent-teaching conference with her 5th grade teacher, I discussed this trend line, but given my observations of her struggles, some poor results on recent work, and the downward trend that I had observed earlier, I decided to enroll her in Mathnasium to supplement her weaknesses in math, since I was not confident she could catch up with the instruction she was receiving from MCPS alone. I won't know if my investment in her tutoring will improve her MAP-M score until the next round, but figuring that out, what she needs to thrive and succeed, was not very clear, and it was hard to decipher. And while I have the education, energy, and resources to do this investigative work and to invest in her tutoring, other Black and Brown parents might not. So with that, I urge you to please establish an early warning system for parents so we know when our kids are on track or if they need support and how they can go about getting that support. And please get math and reading right now. Our kids are depending on you. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Dr. Jennifer Jones. Please come forward. You're good.
Okay. Hello, Dr. McKnight and Board of Education members. I'm Dr. Jennifer Jones, 43-year resident MCPS graduate and 32-year employee with 25 years as an elementary school counselor. It's my 13th year asking for more mental health supports for elementary students. We face the ESSER funding cliff and blueprint implementation. The FY25 proposed budget absorbs funds to sustain positions from ESSER money, including 20 school psychologists, 32 social workers, and $1.6 million for mental health contractual services. MCPS has a critical shortage of school psychologists. What's MCPS doing to address it compared to other districts to fill these vacancies? Has MCPS filled the 32 social worker positions? How are social workers supporting elementary students? What data have been collected to show effectiveness of social workers and contracted mental health service providers to justify the absorption of these positions into the budget? Attached is a letter elementary counselors sent to Dr. McKnight and the board in 2021. Dr. McKnight said she'd shared it with her team and moved forward. Please read it again. It detailed ongoing issues elementary counselors face. In 2021, thanks to Dr. Cruz, 44 half-time elementary counselor positions were added using federal funding. We celebrated and still hope for more because half of the elementary schools still only have one counselor. Dr. McKnight's team added a huge budget amendment in February of '22 for mental health, but no additional elementary counselor staffing positions. This operating budget gives no funds to absorb those 44 positions. Can you please guarantee those positions will be sustained also? Why have no additional elementary counselor positions been requested in this budget? There is still no change in the elementary school counselor staffing formula to move closer to the 1:250 ratio that all middle and high schools already have enjoyed for years. The 1:250 ratio is for all K-12 schools as recommended by the American School Counselor Association, whose model MCPS is supposed to follow. Every elementary school has one counselor plus an additional half-time counselor if you have a non-focused school with over 700 kids, focused schools over 600 kids, Title I schools that are between 510 and 650, and an additional full-time elementary counselor at Title I schools where you have over 650 kids. Frederick County, by the way, has a 1:275 ratio in their elementary schools. Why is it taking decades for elementary schools to have the same ratio as middle and high schools? Why now are we able to fund 52 other full-time positions and give $1.6 million to contract mental health providers, but still no additional elementary counselors? A weekly 45-minute therapist appointment is not as effective as an elementary counselor to meet our youngest students' needs. Dr. Connolly Chester said recently in our meeting that we need to do elementary counselor things before we do therapy. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Daniela Helton. Please come forward.
Good evening. My name is Daniela Helton, and I'm the school counselor at Little Bennett Elementary School. I want to take a moment to congratulate the NBCT educators, in particular the most recent 149 teachers and 3 school counselors who achieved this winter. It is wonderful that through the Maryland Blueprint, educators now get an additional $10,000 for this certification, along with extra stipends for recertification and for working at underperforming schools. The National Board for Professional Teaching Standards states every student deserves to be taught by an accomplished teacher. National Board certification was designed to develop, retain, and recognize accomplished teachers and to generate ongoing improvement in schools nationwide. It's the highest certification a teacher may obtain, in addition to being the most respected one. This distinguished certification includes 27 certificate areas. One of those is called School Counseling, Early Childhood through Young Adulthood. NBCT states accomplished school counselors are educators who use their knowledge of students, counseling, pedagogy, curriculum integration, and the unique context of their school and community to influence students' learning and well-being. The classroom of a school counselor may be the entire school, another educator's classroom, or the school counselor's office. School districts such as Carroll, Cecil, and Prince George's have recognized their school counselors with the language from the Maryland Blueprint and have awarded the stipend of $10,000. However, MCPS has not recognized school counselors under the Maryland Blueprint. Instead, MCPS is placing the current 16 NBCT school counselors in a stipend category with other educators who hold different national certifications. And as a result, NBCT counselors gain a stipend of $2,125. School counselors meet the same eligibility requirements for achieving National Board certification as those positions that are receiving the $10,000 stipend. This is inequitable. When I achieved my NBCT certification in 2009, MCPS provided support to any educator who wanted to attempt certification by providing a scholarship fee to cover the process. Likewise, all educators who achieved were given the same stipend. Now, school counselors are excluded from the financial aid given to engage in the NBCT process, as well as being excluded from the larger stipend. In a recent survey I conducted with my school counseling colleagues, 67% of 139 MCPS counselors indicated that if MCPS were recognizing counselors through the blueprint, that they would apply for this national certification. Please make this fair.
Thank you so much. Our next speaker is Benish Mustafa. Please come forward.
Is this on?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Okay, there we go. I've spent 2.5 years navigating the MCPS public school system. And it took me 2.5 years and countless IEP meetings, angry administrators, to find out exactly all the special needs programs that MCPS offers. There are currently 160,000 plus students at MCPS, out of which 20,221 are those receiving special needs at MCPS. We cannot, and I reiterate, be selective in our inclusion programs. While MCPS makes it a priority to acclimate certain communities so they feel wanted, loved, supported, appreciated, they forget to extend the same courtesy to the special education sector. My son is in the ASD program at Cedar Grove Elementary School. He has 6 students in this class. They have breakfast together, they have lunch together, they have recess, art, gym, all together. Are they ever acclimated into, neurotypical children, with neurotypical children? No. They have soccer, paint night, concert, science expos, bingo night, baseball, the list goes on. Is it ever offered to my son, a special needs student? No, because there is zero support. There is zero support at MCPS to acclimate our special needs students to the community at large. Not so my son only can learn from others, but others can also learn from my son. When my son goes out in the playground and plays all by himself, and he's nonverbal and he plays, and people and neurotypical kids go up to him and they ask him, "Oh, why aren't you talking? Why aren't you talking? What are you, stupid or something?" We have failed as educators. We have failed as educators to learn from each other. I always say that it's very important. I moved here from Florida specifically for the services for special education, for the education sector. My child is not a number. He's not part of a system, so to just keep pushing him ahead so you can get the next batch. He needs to learn. And if he's driving by his current school and the only time he talks is when he says, "No, mommy, no, 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 mommy, no, mommy, no, mommy," because he has PTSD, even looking at his school, we have failed as a school system. I need for this school system to step it up a notch. I will travel to the ends of this earth, really, to get the best services for my son. He deserves nothing less. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is George Hannum. Please come forward.
Good evening, Dr. McKnight and board. Thank you so much for providing the opportunity to testify, and thank you so much for your work on the budget. My name is Jordy Hannum. I live in Tacoma Park with my family. I have 2 MCPS students. To begin my remarks, I'd like to quote Whitney Houston. Like Whitney, I've long believed that children are our future. We should teach them well and let them lead the way. Of course, after COVID, I began reading more about how teaching them well had taken a major step back. Plus, many were not feeling well inside. In researching what to do, I learned of one very effective and cost-effective way to help kids academically and address significant mental health concerns. The solution: have middle and high school kids start school a little bit later. As Alexander Allen and Sandra Landis noted earlier, the data is clear. In the interest of time, I won't repeat it. I'll only say that this consensus from medical groups, from PTAs, is because they know that well-rested teens are happier and healthier and do better in school. They're more emotionally resilient. From a personal standpoint, while my own children are perfect, I've heard that more sleep means teens are easier to deal with as well. In short, according to Dr. Samit Bhargava, a professor of pediatrics at Stanford, when you give them the gift of increased sleep time, it is the biggest bang for the buck. And it's why localities and states across the country are moving start times later. The Seattle Public Schools did it in 2016, and it worked as advertised. In 2019, California went to later start times, and Florida made the change in 2023. If the first and third most populous states in the country can implement this change, and address all the same questions, important questions about sports and sidewalks and extracurriculars and equity, I'm confident that Montgomery County, long a leader in education, would be able to as well. Of course, here in Maryland, as was talked about, several counties have already done it. Now, while Montgomery County made a positive step in 2015, it wasn't enough to really address the problem, especially after the setback from COVID. As a parent, knowing the educational impact of COVID and knowing that this change will unequivocally, not maybe, not potentially, but unequivocally improve academic performance and livelihoods, I implore this board to act. That being said, I understand the current busing shortage and the need to consider busing and work schedules and extracurriculars. It's important to look at this closely, to do it right. This is why I'm asking for the board to endorse this approach to ensure the superintendent's 2025 budget request meaningfully studies the issue. I also ask you to be open with the public about the provisions of the transportation contract and other activities MCPS is doing. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Albert Wetscha. Please come forward. Albert Wetscha. If they are not here, let's move on to Ellie Kleinman, video testimony. Please play the video.
Good evening, Dr. McKnight and members of the board. My name is Ellie Kleinman, and I'm a school counselor at New Hampshire Estates Elementary School in Silver Spring. New Hampshire Estates is a primary school serving the highest farms rate population in MCPS. We also serve a high immigrant population and have many ELD learners. Last year at this time, I spoke before you to ask you to increase the number of mental health professionals in our schools to meet the American School Counseling Association recommended ratio of 1 counselor to 250 schools to 250 students for all schools at all levels. I again urge you to work hard to make this important goal a reality in MCPS. This school year, New Hampshire Estates was able to hire for the very first time a second full-time counselor. Words cannot fully express the difference that having a second full-time counselor has made, enabling our school to better serve the mental health needs of our students and also to support teachers, staff, and administrators in working with students. We're better able to handle crisis response, support not only our grade K to 2 teachers with their students, but also our significant pre-K Head Start population. We're able to work more preventatively with our students because we have the counselor power to serve their needs. We're able to support the rapidly growing number of students who are eligible for 504 plans and also have a counselor available to work with students when the other one is attending one of our frequent IEP meetings. We're working to expand our mentoring program with more outside mentors. We're supporting more students with counseling groups and through our work on the student well-being team. We're now exploring ways to expand mindfulness training for students across the school because we know how beneficial it is for our students and because we have the counseling staff to make that a reality. One major change this year has been the way that 504s are managed for students with outside diagnoses in order to increase child find in Title I schools. Our school is now referring many more students for assessments related to 504 eligibility, and as a result, the percentage of students who are eligible for 504 plans at New Hampshire Estates has already almost doubled since the end of last year. With this in mind, I can share that the support of the 4 MCPS Section 504 instructional specialists has been extremely important. These specialists are currently supporting almost 9,000 504 cases throughout MCPS. I urge you to maintain the Office of 4 504 instructional specialists at current levels and not reduce that number to just 2 specialists as has been proposed for the coming school year. As I stated last year, the pandemic has had after effects that are not going away. We need to acknowledge this and continue to respond with urgency. MCPS can and should do better. It is time to make the required budgetary changes to provide adequate counseling supports to elementary schools with a minimum of a 1 to 250 counselor to student ratio across all schools in MCPS. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next video testimony is Joanna Snyder. Please play the video.
Good evening. My name is Joanna Snyder, and I am happy to be here to share my perspective as a community stakeholder who collaborates with folks within MCPS. I am a Woodland Elementary parent, a PTA board member, the co-chair of the MCCPTA Sustainability in Green Schools Subcommittee, and in my day job, I am a science curriculum specialist at the Lawrence Hall of Science Center for K-12 Science at UC Berkeley. In my work as a curriculum specialist, I develop student-led hands-on science curriculum that empowers critical thinking and connections to place. I've worked with teachers across the country to support them successfully using their schoolyard as part of their classroom. I've also worked with district leaders to implement these innovations and national organizations like Green Schoolyards America. 2 weeks ago, many MCPS district leaders spent their Saturday morning with community members talking candidly about the goals and challenges of the current operations budget. In our session focused on safe routes, transportation, and green schools, much of our discussion centered around the desperate need for staff to support increased communication and collaboration with community members within the district, with county partners, and to be able to bring in additional funding sources. A perfect example of a success of this was the addition of the Green Infrastructure Manager within Division of Sustainability and Compliance last year. Already, Harris has been able to connect with district and county agencies and access regional grants to create living schoolyards that address climate resilience and connect students in the community to our green spaces. We need to continue to think outside the box like this. The climate crisis is creating significant strain on our students, and MCPS, like most public districts, are being asked to do more often with less. The imperative is not lost upon your science curriculum team, the outdoor environmental education programs, or the Division of Sustainability and Compliance, but much of this vision and their efforts are not making it to many of our classrooms, and thus most of our students. We are well behind our neighbors, including Prince George's County, Baltimore City, DC, Fairfax, and Arlington, in having a comprehensive district environmental literacy plan. The pieces are here, the innovators are here. Successful collaborations are happening, like the Food Recovery Program, which was driven by our students. What is missing is a clear message from you, our leadership, that these efforts be funded and prioritized in MCPS to bring all these pieces together. We need to step back and think about a scope and sequence of scientific and environmental literacy that can drive student achievement by creating integrated contexts for learning. We need district expectations for principals. We need your full support and staffing to bring the pieces together by expanding our sustainability policy to a comprehensive environmental literacy and climate change action plan that all stakeholders can work together on more efficiently and equitably with actionable steps. All of this is possible, but it requires your direction and leadership. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next video testimony is Melissa Goman. Please play the video.
Hi, my name is Melissa Goman, and I'm a resident of Silver Spring, Maryland. I'm providing this testimony today to ask for additional funding to fully staff restorative justice practices in the Montgomery County Public School System. First, I would like to thank the Board of Education for its support for restorative justice so far, and to thank Superintendent McKnight for including funding to maintain the current status of restorative justice in the draft budget. I've lived in Silver Spring, Maryland for approximately 13 years, and our children attended Montgomery County Public Schools as well. I also served on the Northwood PTSA when my daughter was a student there. In my professional life, I'm a youth justice professional working with the National Juvenile Justice Network. And as a youth justice professional, I'm aware of substantial research indicating many positive benefits of restorative justice practices. Probably most important is the reduction in exclusionary discipline, meaning things like suspension and expulsion, in schools that fully implement restorative justice practices. We have a great example of this right here in the Baltimore City Public Schools. They implemented restorative justice in their 2018 to 19 school year. They designated 14 schools as intensive learning sites to develop these practices. and they had remarkable results, including suspensions, which were decreased in the schools using the restorative practices by 44% in 1 year. Here in the Montgomery County Public Schools, we have also had great success in the schools that have fully implemented restorative justice practices. They have also significantly lowered their suspension rates, especially for Black students, and have had significantly less repetition of harmful behavior by students who engage in restorative justice. Shifting the school culture from punishment and push-out to restorative justice does take time, intention, and resources. This is why, to implement this critical proven program, I ask that you fund a full-time restorative justice person in every middle and high school. A commitment to fully implementing restorative justice is a very critical paradigm shift to make, because punitive school cultures lead to school push-out and fuel the school-to-prison pipeline. We know that from a June 2023 report by Montgomery County's Office of Legislative Oversight, that racial disparities in the school-to-prison pipeline do persist in the county, with Black children being twice as likely to be suspended or referred to juvenile services compared to their share of the student enrollment. So I urge the Board of Ed to ask for additional funding for restorative justice in the schools. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Our final video testimony is from Tanushree Isaacman and Pilar Olmedo. Please play the video.
Good morning, members of the Board of Education. My name is Pilar Olmedo, and I am here in front of you to talk about the importance of early childhood education in our county. I am a community organizer working with Action in Montgomery, and I am also a proud mom of 5 boys. Over the past 2 months, you have heard from at least 9 community leaders spanning the geography, racial, and economic diversity of Montgomery County, asking you to set forth an ambitious plan for expanding pre-K. They represent over 1,500 conversations we had with Montgomery County residents about the need for universal pre-K. You have heard from a mom with a degree in education who can't afford childcare and thus is staying out of the workforce to care for her children. You have heard from a grandfather whose son has chosen to move to DC because DC has universal pre-K, indicating economic loss. You have heard from a Sunday school teacher who raised her 2 children 30 years ago in Montgomery County Public Schools, struggled to find care, and is astonished to see families at her church facing the same issue 30 years later. There are only benefits about early childhood education. Studies show that children who go to pre-K perform better academically, have better high school graduation rates, and also have more opportunities to go to college. All this translates into better salaries in the future and also a better quality of life. For every dollar you invest in early childhood education, you will receive at least 8 times more in return. Increase of workforce and tax base. Household responsibilities such as caring for our children mixed with how expensive preschool and childcare is in our county, contributing to parents, especially women, to stay at home and not work. Montgomery County is full of prepared, talented, and multilingual people waiting for opportunities to open up. We cannot make a better investment than in our youngest. Our school system needs to set a goal with specific numbers and a specific timeline. Due to lack of resources and space, we need to be more creative than before and partner with community spaces. Let's get this done before another decade passes by. Thank you.
Thank you. So that concludes our testimony for tonight. I'll turn to my fellow board members to see if they have any comments. Mrs. Evans.
Yes. You know what? It's hot. It's late. I really appreciate everybody coming out, spending time with us. I really appreciate how creative you all are when you come and deliver your testimony. I just want to say to Natalie, thank you for yielding your time. We have a Black male educator, which we definitely need more of. We have someone in facilities, so I really, and please forgive me for not remembering your names because it wasn't on the paper, but I really do appreciate you all coming out and sharing your experience and the benefits that you received out of the career pathways. And so just the comment that I want to make to Dr. McKnight is not budget related, but I appreciate our students always coming out to speak with us. They are vulnerable and there are end users. And so I wanted us to go back and possibly have Dr. Alston or someone from the Equity Initiative Unit go out to Sherwood High School. We had Aman Tesfaye. She mentioned not having the issues around racism addressed. They went unchecked, and I'm just not sure if that training is there for that coach that she mentioned, and just want to make sure that our students aren't encountering anything that will impede them getting their education. And I appreciate her saying to us to create curriculum to help her peers to understand, and I really want us to make certain that our kids feel safe when they're coming to school. So if we could do that, I would really appreciate it. And that's all I wanted to say. And you all have a very good evening.
Mr. Said. Oh, Dr.
Yes,
McKnight.
just wanted to follow up. Thank you, Ms. Evans. I just wanted to confirm that, yes, we definitely have a note to follow up on that. She also mentioned some things about vandalism that I'm sure have impacted the environment even beyond just the student herself tonight was impacted by. So we will certainly follow up on that. I'll have Mr. Hull follow up on the facilities piece around the vandalism to determine exactly, what was done so that we can get the scope of it, and definitely follow up with the coach. So thank you.
Mr. Said.
I also just want to say thank you to everyone for coming out. I just kind of want to reiterate generally the importance of these budget hearings in just the community. Your words are going somewhere. They're not forgotten. Each and every testimony here is seriously considered by all of us and does lead to tangible change. I can honestly say that. I have noted at least 10 things here, tangible things I'm going to look into, trying to fight for in relation to the testimonies I've heard today. I just want to say these hearings are such an eye-opening experience for me, hearing what the community actually has to say, because a lot of the times what's actually happening at the schools can be very different from the idea that we kind of have up here. And so I really, really appreciate all the real stories that I've heard, and I can say that I am, and I know the board is as a whole, fighting to ensure that all of these changes you all are advocating for do get implemented. So I want to thank you all again. You guys are all the advocates we need to make change in our community and truly change MCPS. So I have noted down a lot of your comments. Even though it's hot today, even though I'm tired, I'm still listening to each and every testimony, and I really appreciate you all coming out here today, sharing your stories, sharing your experiences, and of course, your recommendations to improve MCPS. So thank you all so much. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you. Ms. Harris.
Yes, very quickly. I've been taking a lot of notes, and we have an amazing new budget analyst, Ms. Shannon Pattyfoot over here, who we are sending all of our questions about things that are in the budget and how we can make some adjustments to. But just two things that just kind of a thought exercise for me that I think I'm really interested in looking at the budget implications of. One, for FY25 is really looking at the costs of so right now we have 8 restorative justice, what are they called? Hang on.
Which coaches?
They're not coaches. Specialists. Thank you, Damon. We have 8, and then we're supposed to have an RJ coach, as a stipend supported position in every school. I'd really like to look at the budget implications of increasing the number of specialists significantly. And then also, I just are really interested, I think it is time for the system to take a serious look at start times. Benchmarking and taking a look at how they're doing it in Florida, how they're doing it in California, looking at the evidence again, and seeing what we can do. So I don't know what there's a budget implication for that right now, but it is something that I really think it's time for us to look at again.
Ms. Yang.
Yes, I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight and staying to the very end. There are a lot of great testimony highlighting some of our very valuable programs, such as service from our PPWs, our career pathways, and also our elementary school counselors, our 504 plan specialist. I think it is correct that we want to get ahead. We don't want to wait till the problem arises to address it. We want to train people, facilitate people, help them grow. We want to make our students healthy and whole early on in the elementary schools. So we will consider all this carefully. I want to encourage everyone to go to County Council, also help us secure funding from our funding source. So thank you very much for coming.
Dr. McKnight, any closing remarks?
Thank you, Ms. Pestry. So again, thank you for coming tonight. I think every time you come out and you share your individual stories, we have a better sense and understanding of the impact. The process is such that as we go through these hearings, we go back. We have another budget operating session occurring next Tuesday, in which we'll talk about the chapters that we haven't discussed and have an opportunity to go back and talk about some other things that have been mentioned. So I want to thank you because the hearings does help accelerate that conversation so that it can be one that, we're coming back and really talking about what the priorities are. So thank you for your participation. And again, just to explain, we had an issue today, an HVAC issue in the building. 2 of our systems actually went down that provides the air in this room. So I just wanted you to know this is not how we normally operate. But that happened this morning, and that's why the room was so uncomfortable. We apologize, but thank you for hanging in there tonight and still sharing your testimonies with us until the end.
Okay. And reiterate, thank you again. We do use the testimony that you provide to help the board as a body to make the final decisions before we adopt it in February. So thank you again. Very impactful testimony tonight. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.